The alarm screamed at 4:47 a.m., cutting through the November darkness. Daniel Hayes's hand shot out from under the worn comforter, silencing it with practiced efficiency. He lay there for exactly 30 seconds, his daily allowance for self-pity staring at the water-stained ceiling. 30 seconds. Then he moved. The shower was quick water, never quite hot enough in this old building. His Bennett Tech maintenance uniform hung on the bathroom door, navy blue shirt with the company logo pants pressed the night before. Rachel's iron, one of the few things he'd kept. Rachel. 4 years, and her name still caught in his throat. In the kitchen, Daniel assembled Sophie's lunch with the precision of someone who'd perfected this routine. Spider-Man lunchbox PB&J crusts off, apple slices, baby carrots she'd trade for cookies, juice box. On the napkin he drew a small heart with Sharpie, just like Rachel used to do. Sophie's clothes waited on her chair. Purple unicorn shirt, favorite jeans with the knees wearing through. He needed new ones, but that would wait until next paycheck. The school shoes needed replacing more urgently. 5:43 a.m. Time to wake her. Morning sunshine. Daniel whispered, brushing blonde hair from Sophie's face. At 7 years old, she already looked so much like Rachel it sometimes hurt. 5 more minutes. Sophie mumbled. You said that yesterday. We almost missed the bus. The bus can wait. I'm very important. Daniel smiled despite his exhaustion. Is that so? Very, very important. Mrs. Peterson says I'm her best student. 15 minutes later, they ate oatmeal together, the cheap kind from the big container dressed up with honey and frozen blueberries that turned everything purple. Daddy, Sophie said around a mouthful. Don't talk with your mouth full, bug. She swallowed dramatically. Does Mommy watch us from heaven? The question hit him like it always did. Unexpected, devastating. I think she does, Daniel said carefully. I think she's very proud of you. Does she know I got an A on my spelling test? I'm sure she does. At 7:15, they walked hand in hand to the corner bus stop. Other children gathered, most with mothers, some with fathers, a few with nannies. Daniel was one of only 2 single dads here, and he felt it every morning. The way conversations would pause when he approached resume about playdates and PTA meetings, he was never quite invited to. Sophie didn't notice. She chatted about her volcano science project, something they'd build this weekend, and waved when she spotted her friend Emma. The bus arrived with hydraulic hiss and exhaust cloud. Sophie hugged him tight. Love you, Daddy. Love you more, sunshine. Love you most. She waved from the window until the bus disappeared. Daniel walked 2 blocks to his 2008 Honda Accord faded blue paint, cracked windshield he couldn't afford to fix. The 35-minute drive to downtown Seattle meant NPR on low, lukewarm gas station coffee mental checklist of the day's repairs. The Bennett Tech building rose 20 stories into the Seattle skyline, all glass and steel. Daniel parked in Section E, far corner of the underground garage, next to Teslas and Mercedes. His Honda looked particularly shabby in this company. In the maintenance office, Jake was already sorting work orders. Morning sunshine, Jake said without looking up. Full day ahead. HVAC units acting up, elevator flagged for sensor replacement, and somebody on the executive floor keeps calling about their thermostat. Thermostats are easy, not when the CEO's assistant is making the calls. Daniel clipped his radio to his belt. Just another day in a building full of people who barely noticed him. He had no idea everything was about to change. Meanwhile, 15 floors above Daniel's head, Olivia Bennett woke at exactly 4:00 a.m. No alarm needed. Her body had learned to wake before dawn, habit formed from years of proving herself to a father who believed sleep was for the weak. The penthouse was silent in a way that felt less peaceful and more like a vacuum. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a stunning view of Seattle's skyline Space Needle, lit against pre-dawn darkness. Puget Sound dark and vast beyond Mount Rainier, barely visible through November clouds. On paper, this apartment was worth $4.8 million. In reality, it felt like an expensive prison. Olivia allowed herself 2 minutes of staring at the ceiling, 2 minutes of acknowledging the hollowness before pushing it down. Her morning routine was mechanical shower at 5:15, hair and makeup by 5:45, dressed by 6 Hasdras. charcoal grey Armani power suit, heels adding 3 inches to her 5'7" frame. In the mirror, Olivia Bennett, CEO of Bennett Tech Solutions, stared back. 29 years old, successful by every business metric, empty by every metric that mattered. The kitchen was stainless steel and unused appliances, coffee from her $2,000 Italian espresso machine, drunk standing at the counter while reviewing reports on her tablet. Breakfast Greek yogurt straight from the container, eaten while reading emails. By 6:30, she was in her Tesla heading downtown. Vivaldi's Four Seasons played softly what her father always played. The morning commute was planning time, rehearsing meetings, anticipating objections. The parking garage was nearly empty this early. Her reserved spot, O. Bennett CEO, was steps from the private elevator. As she walked across pristine concrete, her heels echoing, she passed maintenance vehicles and that old Honda with the cracked windshield. She didn't give them a second glance. At 2:15 p.m., the board meeting finally ended. Victor Torres, the CFO, had questioned her decisions on 3 projects. She'd won each argument, but the victories felt hollow. The executive floor was quiet as Olivia headed toward her private elevator. Near the elevator bank, a maintenance worker knelt beside an open panel, tools spread around him. Brown hair slightly mussed, wearing the Navy Bennett Tech uniform. Radio crackling on his belt. Olivia barely registered his presence. The elevator doors stood open. She stepped inside, mentally preparing for her next meeting. "Ms. Bennett, wait!" The voice came from behind, urgent. Olivia's finger pressed the button. She glanced back briefly. The maintenance worker was half standing, one hand raised. "The elevator's been flagged for—" The doors closed, cutting off his words. Olivia leaned against the wall, closing her eyes. Just needed a moment of silence. The elevator lurched. Her eyes flew open as the car jerked violently, dropping several feet before catching with horrible grinding. Lights flickered once, twice, then switched to dim yellow emergency lighting. Everything stopped. Olivia's heart pounded in her ears. She moved to the control panel, pressing buttons frantically. Floor 12, floor 13. Door open. Emergency. Nothing. The digital display showed 12.5 stuck between floors. No, 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 Olivia breathed. She pulled out her phone. No signal, metal car blocking reception. The walls seemed closer suddenly. Ceiling lower. Air thinner. She was 7 again, locked in the closet while her parents screamed at each other. 3 hours in the dark, crying, banging until her hands hurt. 3 hours before they remembered she existed. Her chest tightened, vision narrowing. Each breath felt like drowning. The intercom crackled. Ms. Bennett, male voice. Calm, cutting through her spiral like a lifeline. Ms. Bennett, can you hear me? She tried to speak, but only a strangled gasp emerged. It's Daniel. From maintenance. I see you're stuck between 12 and 13. Maintenance. The worker she'd ignored. I can't. The doors won't. I know Daniel's voice was steady, unhurried. I'm going to get you out. 5 minutes, maybe less. But I need you to do something first. What desperate, willing to do anything. Breathe with me. In for 4 counts. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. She tried to follow breath, hitching. Good. Now out for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. His voice was an anchor. Calm, patient. Again. In for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Slowly, impossibly, her breathing steadied. Good. You're doing great. Now tell me something. What's your favorite color? The question was so unexpected her spiraling thoughts caught on it. What? Why? Humor me. Favorite color blue. Ocean blue. Ocean blue. That's specific. Got a story there. Through the speaker, she heard him working, tools clicking, but his voice never wavered. My grandmother's beach house, Olivia heard herself say. Summer vacations. The water was peaceful. Sounds perfect. Hold on to that image. Ocean blue, peaceful water. Can you see it? Yes, good. Because in about 30 seconds, these doors are going to open. The elevator jerked. Olivia gasped. "That's me," Daniel said calmly. "Told you. 5 minutes." The elevator descended smoothly toward floor 12. Olivia gripped her knees, counting seconds. "Here we go. Doors opening in 3, 2, 1. The doors slid open with a soft chime. Daniel Hayes stood in the hallway, and for the first time, Olivia really looked at him. Taller than she'd realized, maybe 6'1", with sandy brown hair disheveled from work. Maintenance uniform had oil stains on one sleeve, work boots scuffed. But his eyes, blue-gray kind, looked at her with genuine concern, but no pity. He offered his hand to help her over the gap. Olivia took it, warm, calloused, strong, steady in a way that made panic recede. Her legs shook as she stood. Daniel's hand moved to her elbow, supporting without making it seem like weakness. "You okay?" he asked softly. Olivia nodded, not trusting her voice. "That was a sensor malfunction," Daniel said, releasing her gently. "Already logged for replacement. Should have been tagged out. My fault for not doing it sooner, taking responsibility even though she'd ignored his warning." "Thank you," Olivia managed. I don't... Panic in broken elevators. Most people do. Nothing to be embarrassed about. Making her feel normal, not weak. Your voice helped. The breathing. Daniel smiled, transforming his face. Warm. Genuine. Old paramedic trick. Worked ambulances before this. Talking people down from panic, kind of my specialty. You were a paramedic. About 8 years. Changed careers when my daughter was born. Needed stable hours. Daughter. The information settled into Olivia's mind. That was good of you. Nah, selfish. She's way better company than drunks at 3 a.m. Self-deprecating humor surprised a laugh from Olivia. When was the last time she'd laughed? Footsteps approached Margaret, appearing around the corner, breathless. "Ms. Bennett, your 3 o'clock is waiting." Reality crashed back. CEO and maintenance worker standing too close. Olivia stepped back, armor sliding into place. "Thank you again," she said, voice cooling to professional tone. "I appreciate your assistance." Daniel's expression flickered, but he just nodded. "Anytime, Ms. Bennett." He turned back to his tools. Olivia walked toward her office, deliberately not looking back, but she could still feel the warmth of his hand on hers, still hear his voice guiding her breathing, still see that genuine, uncomplicated smile. And for the first time in 3 years, Olivia Bennett felt something stir that wasn't work-related stress. She felt curious. Margaret Chen had worked as executive assistant for 23 years. Very little surprised her. But when Olivia Bennett walked in Tuesday morning and casually asked for the maintenance schedule, specifically when Daniel Hayes would be on the executive floor, Margaret's professional mask slipped. "The maintenance schedule, Ms. Bennett." "Yes, when will Mr. Hayes be available for a facilities review?" Margaret pulled up the schedule. "He's assigned to executive floor HVAC checks at 10 a.m. today." "Perfect. Thank you." Through the glass walls, Margaret watched her boss check her reflection 3 times in 5 minutes, adjusting already perfect hair. 29 years in corporate, and she'd never seen Olivia act remotely interested in a man. Not since the divorce 3 years ago. Margaret pulled up Daniel Hayes' employee file. Handsome in an understated way. Kind eyes, good performance reviews, widower with young daughter. Not at all Olivia's usual type. Margaret made a note. Watch this situation carefully. At 9:45, Olivia walked to the thermostat on her office wall. Digital display 72 degrees, airflow fine. She stared at it, then picked up her phone. "Margaret, the temperature in my office feels off. I'll call maintenance immediately." Olivia hung up, heart pounding. She was acting like a teenager with a crush. At 10:03, knock on her doorframe. "Ms. Bennett." "Heard you're having temperature issues." Daniel stood in her doorway, tool belt, easy smile. He looked exactly the same as yesterday, but somehow different. Higher definition now. "Daniel." "Yes." "It's been inconsistent." The lie tasted strange. Olivia never lied. Let's see what we're dealing with. Daniel pulled a thermometer from his belt, walking to the thermostat. Movement sufficient practiced. Olivia watched his hands. Capable. Gentle with equipment? System looks fine, Daniel said. Reading 72, pretty standard. You feeling too hot or cold? Hot. Olivia's face warmed. It varies. Sometimes one, sometimes the other. Daniel turned to look at her. Something in his eyes, amusement, understanding. He knew this call was unnecessary. That usually means the thermostat's working perfectly. Long pause, giving her an out. Tell you what, I'll adjust the settings anyway. Sometimes these units can be finicky. Helping her. Covering for her. Making it less awkward. Thank you, Olivia managed. Daniel turned back, making adjustments that probably didn't need making. Giving her what she wanted, his presence, while pretending it was necessary. So Daniel said casually, Still working. How are you feeling after yesterday? The elevator thing. I'm fine. Momentary panic. Claustrophobia. Something like that. Olivia found herself continuing. When I was 7, my parents were fighting and I hid in a closet. The door locked. I was stuck 3 hours before they found me. Why was she telling him this? Daniel turned, giving her full attention. Really listening. 3 hours is a long time for a 7-year-old. I learned to be self-sufficient, not to depend on anyone. Except yesterday you had to. Except yesterday. Understanding passed between them. For what it's worth, Daniel said, quietly, asking for help isn't weakness. It's being human. The words hit harder than they should. Your daughter Olivia changed subjects. Sophie. Right, she's 7. Daniel's face transformed. Pride. Love. Pure and uncomplicated. Yeah, just turned 7 last month. What's she like? Daniel sat on her desk edge, relaxed in a way that should have felt inappropriate, but didn't. She's everything. Smart curious, asks a million questions. Currently obsessed with space. Wants to be an astronaut. That's ambitious. She doesn't know impossible yet. Hope she never learns it. The way he talked about his daughter Olivia had never heard such unguarded love. Her mother. I saw in your file she passed away. I'm sorry. Daniel's expression flickered. Pain, then acceptance. 4 years ago. Cancer. Fast diagnosis, 6 months. Sophie doesn't remember much. She was 3. That must have been incredibly difficult. Hardest thing ever. Watching Rachel fade. Knowing I'd do this alone. But Sophie needed me to hold it together, so I did. Simple statement, years of pain behind it. You quit being a paramedic for her, couldn't handle rotating shifts nights away. Maintenance pays less, but I'm home for dinner. Tuck her in every night. Worth more than money. Olivia thought about her own life. All money. No meaning. What about you? Daniel asked. Any kids? No. I was married, but it didn't work out. He wanted someone who'd put him first. I wanted someone who wouldn't cheat with my assistant. Bitterness slipped through. Daniel whistled low. Your assistant? That's cold. Efficient. They're married now, living in my old house. And you're better off. Or that's what I tell myself. Honesty. When had she last been honest about her feelings? Daniel studied her, seeing through years of armor. Well, he stood packing tools, thermostats all set. Should work perfectly now. Though between you and me, it was working perfectly before. Gentle teasing. No judgment. Olivia couldn't help smiling. I'll try to only call for actual emergencies. Or don't. I mean, fixing things that aren't broken is easier than fixing things that are. Was he flirting? Daniel headed toward the door. Olivia felt sudden panic at him leaving. Daniel! He turned. Yeah, thank you. For yesterday. And for this. Anytime, Miss Bennett. Olivia. You can call me Olivia. His smile widened. Olivia. Okay, then. After he left, Olivia couldn't focus on work. Her office felt different. Warmer, not the temperature. Something else. That evening, Daniel sat in his Honda outside Sophie's elementary school waiting for dismissal. His phone buzzed. Text from Jake. Dude, did you really rescue the CEO from a stuck elevator office is talking? You okay? Daniel typed. She's fine. Just did my job. But his mind was elsewhere. He kept thinking about Olivia Bennett's face stepping out of that elevator. The vulnerability, the genuine terror she'd tried to hide. And those eyes. Green. Ocean blue was her favorite color, but her eyes were green. The school bell rang. Sophie burst through doors, backpack bouncing, pigtails flying. Daddy! She launched herself at him. Hey, Bug! Good day. The best we learned about planets, and Mrs. Peterson says I have excellent questions. In the car, Sophie chattered, while Daniel navigated to Mrs. Patterson's building. Their elderly neighbor had been a godsend, affordable childcare patients, home-cooked meals. How was your day, Daddy? Fine. Fixed some stuff. Did you fix anything important? Daniel thought about Olivia Bennett, CEO, trapped and terrified, about talking her through panic, about the way she'd looked at him saying, thank you, really looked not through him. Yeah, he said softly. I think maybe I did. Wednesday afternoon at 4:15, Daniel's shift ended. He was loading his toolbox into the Honda when he heard heels on concrete. Olivia was walking toward him, still in a power suit, tablet underarm. She looked like she belonged in a magazine, not a parking garage. Daniel. Hi. Her voice different. Less CEO, more uncertain. Ms. Ben Olivia. Hi, using her first name felt strange and right. Is this your daughter? She was looking at his car where Sophie sat reading. His daughter heard them talking now, peering out with undisguised curiosity. Yeah. Sophie, come say hello. Sophie unbuckled and hopped out, looking up at Olivia. You're really tall, Sophie announced. Olivia laughed, really laughed. It's the heels. Without them, I'm normal. You smell nice. Like flowers. Thank you. You have pretty hair. Sophie touched her pigtails, pleased. Daddy did it. He's getting better. They used to be crooked, Sophie, Daniel said, embarrassed. You do her hair? Olivia asked, something soft in her expression. YouTube tutorials. Harder than it looks. Olivia's eyes held his, imagining him carefully braiding small blonde hair. Are you Daddy's friend? Sophie asked with childhood bluntness. Olivia looked uncertain. We work in the same building. But do you like him? Think he's nice? Daniel's hand moved to Sophie's shoulder. Gentle warning. I do think he's nice, Olivia said honestly. Very nice. Good. Because he's the best daddy ever. Olivia's expression flickered with something Daniel couldn't read. Soph, we need to get going. Okay. Bye, pretty lady. After Sophie climbed back in. Daniel and Olivia stood in the parking garage, few feet between them, feeling like inches. Sorry about that. She's friendly. Don't apologize. She's wonderful. Olivia meant it. Did you need something? Another thermostat issue? Teasing but gentle. Olivia took a breath, gathering courage. No. I wanted to talk to you. Away from the office. Okay. Waiting. Giving her space. This is going to sound strange. And probably inappropriate. And you can absolutely say no. You're making me nervous. I don't have a husband. The words rushed out. Inelegant. Daniel's brain stuttered. Okay, I'm divorced. 3 years. And I've spent those years telling myself I was better off alone. That relationships were just liabilities. Words coming faster, damn breaking. But then you calmed me down in that elevator. You made me laugh about thermostats. And I saw you with Sophie, and I realized... Her voice cracked. I realized I've been so lonely I forgot what it felt like to want something beyond work. To want someone. Daniel's heart pounded. This couldn't be happening. So I'm asking, probably stupidly, definitely unprofessionally. Can I have a date with you? The question hung between them. In his car, Sophie had her face pressed against window, watching with interest. Daniel's mind raced through reasons to say no. She was his boss. She was rich. He was broke. Sophie needed stability. He hadn't dated since Rachel. But he thought about Olivia's smile, the vulnerability in her eyes, the way she'd looked at Sophie with genuine warmth, and Rachel's voice clear in memory. Don't stop living because I stopped living. Olivia, he said carefully, I'm going to be honest. She braced for rejection. I haven't been on a date in 6 years. The last woman I dated, I married. When she died, I gave up on that part of my life. I understand. Let me finish. I gave up because I was scared. Scared of letting Sophie get attached to someone who might leave. Scared of failing at being enough. Rachel's last words haunted him. I'm sorry I'm leaving you alone. But you asking this with your hands shaking, that takes guts. More than I've had in years. Hope flickered in Olivia's eyes. So yes, I'd like dinner with you, but I need you to understand Sophie comes first. Always. If this affects her negatively, I'm done. No second chances. Olivia didn't hesitate. Good. She should be. The immediate answer made Daniel's chest loosen. And I'm broke. I don't care. You drive a Tesla. I drive a 2008 Honda with broken air conditioning. Does it get you where you need to go? Usually. Then it's a good car. She was trying. And people will talk. Your board employees, everyone. The CEO dating the maintenance guy. Let them talk. Easy to say now, I know. But I'm asking anyway. Stubborn. Determined. Real. Daniel made a decision that terrified him. Okay, yes, one dinner. Before he could process what he'd agreed to, Sophie burst from the car. Does this mean you're Daddy's girlfriend? Olivia looked at Daniel helplessly. He knelt to Sophie's level. Bug, we're just going to have dinner. Get to know each other. But you like her, right? You have your smiley face. What smiley face? The one you have now. The one from pictures with Mommy. The innocent observation devastated him. Sophie turned to Olivia, serious beyond her years. If you're going to have dinner with my daddy, promise something. What's that promise you won't make him sad? He's been sad a really long time. Olivia's eyes filled with tears. This child protecting her father. I promise I will try very hard not to make him sad. Good. And also, do you like pizza? Olivia laughed through tears. I do. We're making pizza tonight. You can come. Daddy lets me put olives even though I don't like them. Sophie Daniel started, but Olivia interrupted. I'd like that. But I should tell you, I'm terrible at cooking. Sophie took her hand without hesitation. That's okay. I can teach you. And just like that, Daniel found himself leading the CEO toward his beat-up Honda with his 7-year-old chattering about pizza toppings. His life had just gotten very complicated, but watching Sophie hold Olivia's hand, maybe complicated, was exactly what he needed. The first official date happened on a Saturday afternoon that felt more like Seattle winter steady drizzle. Grey clouds low over Puget Sound, the kind of day locals called a little misty. Olivia had been nervous all week. Margaret had noticed immediately. You're checking your phone every 5 minutes. That's not like you. I have a thing. Tomorrow. A thing with the maintenance worker. His name is Daniel. Margaret smiled. I know. Now it was Saturday at 1:45 p.m. and Olivia stood in her walk-in closet, staring at the jeans she'd bought Tuesday. Dark wash. Not too tight. She'd tried them on 3 times paired with different tops, changed her mind repeatedly. This was ridiculous. She ran a multi-million-dollar company. She negotiated with venture capitalists, but she couldn't figure out what to wear. She finally settled on the jeans, simple white t-shirt, leather jacket that was nice but not screaming expensive. Sneakers, hair down instead of up. In the mirror, she barely recognized herself. She looked normal. Her phone buzzed. Daniel, outside when you're ready. No rush. Daniel's Honda looked even more beat up in daylight, but when he got out to open her door, his smile made everything else disappear. You look great. I feel like I'm wearing a costume. The jeans' first pair since college. Daniel laughed. They look natural. Nobody would guess. They drove north toward Gasworks Park, one of Seattle's quirky landmarks, where old industrial equipment sat preserved on the waterfront. "Hope you don't mind walking," Daniel said as they parked. "Not exactly a fancy restaurant, but Dick's Drive-In has the best burgers in Seattle for $4. Thought we'd eat there, then walk the park. This is perfect." And it was. Dick's Drive-In was a Seattle institution, cash only. No frills, just damn good burgers. They ate standing at the counter, rain misting around them, Olivia trying not to drip special sauce on her new jeans. "So this is what normal people do," she said between bites. "Stand in the rain eating cheap burgers, pretty much. I like it." The walk through Gasworks Park was beautiful despite the weather. Or because of it, the misty rain made everything soft Seattle skyline visible across Lake Union, the old industrial structures rising like steampunk sculptures. They walked and talked. Really talked. "So, paramedic," Olivia said. "Why'd you choose that?" "My dad was a firefighter. Grew up around first responders. Liked helping people in crisis. What made you stop?" "Rachel got pregnant. We'd planned around my schedule, but Sophie came early. Complications. Rachel needed bed rest, and suddenly irregular hours didn't work." Grief flickered across his face. Then the cancer diagnosis. "I was taking care of both of them. Called in sick so much, they basically pushed me toward voluntary resignation. Maintenance job came through a friend, regular hours, decent pay. Not what I imagined, but gave me time with them. They reached a viewpoint overlooking the lake, water dark and choppy rain pattering on their jackets. "Do you regret it?" Olivia asked. "No. Immediate. Those last 6 months with Rachel, I was there. Every moment. Worth every sacrifice." They sat on a damp bench. Olivia's new sneakers were soaked. Daniel had warned her at mile 2. "Your turn," Daniel said. "CEO at 29. That's impressive. How'd that happen, family company? My father built it. Expected me to run it. Groomed me from childhood. Sounds like pressure. Constant. Nothing was ever quite good enough. A in calculus should have been A+. Second biggest account. Should have been biggest. Old pain surfacing. When I finally became CEO, I thought he'd be proud." He said, "Don't screw it up. That was my congratulations." "Where is he now?" "Retired in Scottsdale. Plays golf. Criticizes my quarterly earnings every Sunday like clockwork. Do you like being CEO?" The question stopped Olivia cold. No one had ever asked. "I don't know. I never thought about whether I liked it. It was just what I was supposed to do." "That's not really an answer." "I know, but it's the honest one." Daniel's expression was thoughtful. "What would you do if you weren't CEO?" Long pause. "I used to paint watercolors in college, before my father said it was a waste of time." "Why'd you stop?" "Because he was right. You can't build an empire with watercolors, but you can build a life." The words settled between them. They walked back as drizzle turned to proper rain, both laughing and running the last 100 yards to his car. Sitting in the Honda rain, drumming on the roof, neither wanted the date to end. "This was nice," Olivia said. "Really nice." "Yeah, close. Neither moving away. Moment stretching." Daniel's hand reached up, tucking wet hair behind her ear. "Can I kiss you? Please?" His lips on hers, gentle, tentative. Her hands on his chest, feeling heartbeat. Both pulling back after a moment, smiling. "I've wanted to do that since the thermostat. I've wanted you to since the elevator." They kissed again. Longer, feeling like the beginning of something real. By mid-January, they'd settled into a rhythm. 3 dinners a week at Daniel's apartment, Olivia was getting better at cooking under Sophie's patient instruction. Weekend outings to Pike Place Market or the Seattle Aquarium. Phone calls every night after Sophie went to bed, sometimes lasting hours. One Saturday, Olivia found herself at Woodland Park Zoo, walking between a 7-year-old who wouldn't stop asking questions, and a man who made her heart race. "Can we see elephants first? And tigers? And penguins?" Sophie bounced, holding both their hands. "We can see everything Olivia promised." At the elephant exhibit, they watched a mother with her baby. "That's like Daddy with me," Sophie observed. "He's the mama and daddy elephant." Daniel looked embarrassed. Sophie, what you are? Olivia's heart swelled. He is. You're very lucky. I know. At the tiger exhibit, Sophie read the information placard aloud, explaining about Siberian tigers with confidence. You're really smart, Olivia said. Daddy reads to me every night. Are you going to read to me sometime testing? Hopeful. Olivia looked at Daniel, who nodded encouragement. I'd like that. If you want. I want Daddy does voices, but he's not good at princess voices. The penguin feeding was Sophie's favorite. She stood at the glass watching birds dive and swim, face lit with pure joy. That evening, after Sophie was asleep, Daniel and Olivia talked on the phone, their routine now. She really likes you, Daniel said. I really like her. She's incredible. I'm biased, but I agree. The way she talks about Rachel. No resentment, just curiosity. How did you do that? I never let her blame Rachel for dying. Never let her think her mom chose to leave. I kept pictures around, told stories, made sure Sophie knew she was loved. That must have been hard while you were grieving. Some nights I'd read Sophie stories about her mom, then go to my room and fall apart. But Sophie needed to know Rachel was good. Silence. Olivia in awe. You're a really good father. Some days I feel like I'm failing. You're being exactly what she needs. Conversation shifted. Can I ask you something? Daniel said. Always. Do you think about the future, like where this is going all the time? Do you? Yeah, and it scares me. Because I'm falling for you, Olivia. Really falling. But I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. What shoe? The one where you wake up and realize you can do better. That I'm just the broke maintenance guy. Stop. You're not just anything. You're kind, patient, and amazing father. You make me laugh. You make me want to be better. But your world and mine are the same world now. We made them the same. Through the phone, she heard his breathing. I'm falling for you too, Olivia whispered. And yes, it terrifies me, but I don't want to stop. Me neither. Spring was pushing away winter's grey. Daffodils appeared in Seattle parks. Mount Rainier became visible more often through clearing clouds. Olivia and Daniel had been dating nearly 3 months. No official I love you yet, though both felt it. One evening at Daniel's apartment, after Sophie was asleep, Daniel made a confession. I need to tell you something. I'm worried about what my family will think. Your family? My parents? They're flying in next month from Spokane. They want to meet you. That's good. They're good people. But they're working class through and through. My dad was a firefighter for 30 years. Mom worked at Walmart. They're going to have opinions about me dating a CEO. What kind of opinions? That you're out of my league. That this won't last. That rich people don't understand real problems. Olivia absorbed this. She'd been so focused on her world judging them, she hadn't considered his world doing the same. What do you want me to do? Be yourself. But maybe, don't mention the penthouse or the Tesla. Just be Olivia, who likes cheap burgers and bad jokes. That is me now. I know. Just warning you, they'll be skeptical. Meeting his parents terrified Olivia more than any board meeting ever had. The whispers started before Olivia was ready. She'd been careful, no public dates at fancy restaurants, no obvious displays at the office. But Seattle's professional community was small, and people talked. Margaret walked into Olivia's office, Monday morning expression carefully neutral, but eyes concerned. You should see this. She slid her phone across the desk. LinkedIn post from someone in their industry network. Spotted Bennett Tech CEO Olivia Bennett at Dick's Drive-In last Saturday, with what looked like a maintenance worker and his daughter. Cute love has no price. CEO life. 347 likes. Dozens of comments. Respect. Love doesn't care about bank accounts. Wait, she's dating an employee. That's a problem. My friend works at Bennett Tech. Says he's a widower, raises his daughter alone. Actually sounds sweet. This is going to end badly. Mark my words. Olivia scrolled through, stomach sinking. It is monitoring, trying to get it removed. The damage is done. Her phone rang. Victor Torres, CFO. My office. Now. Victor's office was sterile, all steel and glass, nothing personal. He stood at his window, not turning, when Olivia entered. I assume you've seen the LinkedIn situation. I'm aware. Then you understand why we're concerned. Concerned about what? That I'm dating someone Victor turned. Concerned about the optics. The CEO dating an employee from a significantly lower position creates liability. He's not in my reporting chain. He's 3 levels removed, but you could still influence his employment. It's inappropriate. Elizabeth Chen, board member, was also present. She spoke more gently. Olivia, we're not trying to control your personal life, but you need to think about how this looks. How it looks, or how it affects my authority because I'm a woman. Dating down Victor's jaw tightened. This has nothing to do with... It has everything to do with it. If I were a male CEO dating my secretary, you'd congratulate me. But because I'm a woman dating a man who earns less, suddenly it's inappropriate. Elizabeth leaned forward. That's not fair. Isn't it, Victor, you hired your nephew as an intern despite 50 more qualified candidates? Elizabeth, your husband is our corporate lawyer, despite having the 3rd best bid. But I date a maintenance worker, and suddenly there's an emergency meeting. Silence. I'm not ending this relationship to make you comfortable. If that's a problem, vote me out. Victor's expression darkened, but Olivia was already walking out. That evening, Olivia arrived at Daniel's apartment shaking with residual anger. Daniel took one look and pulled her inside. What happened? The board found out. They want me to end it. Maybe you should. Olivia's head snapped up. What? This is affecting your career. Your reputation. I don't want to be the reason. Stop. You're not the reason. They're the reason. Their prejudice, their small-mindedness. But they're right about one thing. I don't fit in your world. Then I'll change my world. The words surprised both of them. Daniel's parents arrived on a Saturday. Jack Hayes was tall, broad-shouldered, weathered from years of firefighting. Patricia was warm but watchful, assessing Olivia immediately. They met at Daniel's apartment. Olivia wore jeans and a simple sweater, her normal person uniform now. Mom, Dad, this is Olivia. Olivia, my parents. Lovely to meet you both, Olivia said, shaking hands. Patricia's handshake was firm. Assessing. Sophie broke the tension. Grandma, Grandpa. Come see my science project. During lunch, Daniel cooked. Olivia helped Patricia watched how Olivia interacted with Sophie. The way she cut Sophie's sandwich without being asked. How she patiently explained something about volcanoes. Small domestic things that mattered. After lunch, while the kids played outside, Jack spoke bluntly. So you're the CEO everyone's talking about? I am. Daniel says you drive a Tesla. I do. Though lately I've been riding in his Honda more often. Why's that? Because I'd rather be with him than driving alone. Patricia studied her. My son's had a hard few years. Losing Rachel nearly broke him. I won't watch him get hurt again. I don't want to hurt him. You say that now, but when your world starts judging him, calling him a gold digger, questioning his motives, will you still think he's worth it? Yes. No hesitation. Jack and Patricia exchanged glances. He's worth everything, Olivia continued. He's the kindest, most genuine person I've ever met. He's an incredible father. He makes me want to be better. And I don't care what anyone thinks about the money difference. You say that now, Jack repeated. But when it gets hard, it's already hard. My board is pushing me to end it. My father calls me an embarrassment. I don't care. I'm choosing Daniel. Patricia's expression softened slightly. What about Sophie, she asked. If this doesn't work out, she gets hurt too. I know. That terrifies me more than anything. But I love her. I'm already attached. If Daniel and I ended, I'd fight to stay in her life anyway. You love her. Patricia's voice softened. Yes, she's wonderful. Smart, funny, kind, just like her father. The mothers locked eyes. Understanding passed between them. That evening, as Jack and Patricia prepared to leave, Patricia pulled Olivia aside. I was wrong about you. I thought you'd be cold corporate. But you look at my son the way Rachel did. Like he's your whole world. He is. Then you have my blessing. But if you hurt him, you'll hunt me down. I understand. Patricia smiled. We'll get along fine. Sophie's school had been okay until it wasn't. She'd mentioned Olivia a few times. My dad's girlfriend helps with my math homework. Teachers knew, some parents knew. It had been fine. Then came the Mother's Day art project. Mrs. Peterson asked students to draw pictures of their mothers. Sophie, who never really knew Rachel, drew Olivia. Another student's mother saw it during pickup, recognized Olivia from business news. Word spread. By Wednesday, Daniel got a call from Mrs. Peterson. "We need to talk about Sophie." At lunch, Sophie sat with her friend Emma, trying to act normal. Other kids whispered. Brittany, known for being mean, spoke loud enough for Sophie to hear. "My mum says your dad's only dating that rich lady for her money." Sophie's face burned. "That's not true. Why else would a rich person date a janitor? He's not a janitor, he's maintenance supervisor." "Same thing. My dad says it's embarrassing." Emma defended her. "Sophie's dad is nice, leave her alone." But Brittany continued. "My mum says when they break up, your dad's going to sue her for money. That's what poor people do." Sophie stood, hands shaking. "My daddy isn't poor, and he loves Olivia, and Olivia loves us." "Sure she does." Brittany laughed. "Until she gets bored." Sophie dumped her lunch tray and ran to the bathroom, fighting tears. Emma followed. Mrs. Peterson found them, immediately called Daniel. Daniel picked Sophie up early. In the car, she was quiet, face blotchy. "Baby, what happened?" She told him everything. Every cruel word, every nasty implication. Daniel's hands tightened on the steering wheel, anger building. "Daddy, why do people think you don't love Olivia? Because they don't understand that love isn't about money. But you do love her, right?" "Yes, very much. Then why does everyone care that she's rich and you're not?" How to explain adult prejudice to a 7-year-old? Some people think rich people and regular people are too different, but they're wrong. I hate those kids. Don't hate them. Feel sorry for them. They're learning to be small-minded from their parents. Sophie absorbed this quietly. "Can we see Olivia?" "I want to see Olivia." "Yeah, baby. Let's go see Olivia." At Bennett Tech. Olivia was in a meeting when Margaret interrupted. "Daniel's here. Says it's urgent. He has Sophie." Olivia immediately left the conference room, finding them in the lobby. Sophie's face was red and puffy. Daniel looked furious. "Conference room. Now." In privacy, Daniel explained everything. Olivia listened, heartbreaking with every word. "I'm going to call the principal. I'm going to—" "You can't fix this with your position." "Olivia, that'll just make it worse." The raised voice surprised both of them. Sophie's head turned from where she'd been coloring. "I know I can't. But I can." "You can what?" "This is what I was afraid of. For getting hurt because of us. This isn't us. This is them. But it affects us. It affects her." They were both breathing hard, anger and fear mixing. "Maybe we need to take a break," Daniel said quietly. "Let things cool down." "No." Olivia's voice was firm. "We're not running away. I'm not running. I'm protecting my daughter. From me, from this situation, from people judging her because her dad is dating someone rich. So what, we just give up? Let them win. It's not about winning. It's about Sophie feeling safe at school. Stop fighting." Sophie's small voice from behind them. They turned. Sophie's face was tear-streaked. "Stop fighting. Please." Olivia knelt. "Sophie, honey, you love each other. I know you do. So why are you being mean?" Simple question. Impossible to answer. Daniel knelt too. Sometimes adults say things they don't mean when they're scared. "Are you scared of Olivia leaving?" "Yes." Sophie looked at Olivia. "Are you scared we don't want you?" "Yes." "That's silly. We're a family now. 7-year-old wisdom." Sophie looked between them seriously. "When Mommy died, you told me it was okay to be sad, but not okay to stop living." Daniel's throat tightened. "I remember, you said Mommy would want us to be happy, that being sad forever wouldn't bring her back." Words he'd said now reflected back. "So why aren't you choosing to be happy?" "Olivia makes you happy. You make her happy." "I'm happy. Who cares what anyone thinks?" Both adults stared at this child, who saw everything so clearly. "She's right," Olivia said to Daniel. "I'm sorry. For getting defensive for—" "No, I'm sorry. "You're not the problem. I was scared and I lashed out." They moved toward each other, Sophie between them. "I love you," Daniel said. "I love you and I'm terrified of losing you. You're not losing me. Ever." Sophie looked between them. "Promise," both adults looked at her. "I promise," Olivia said. "I promise," Daniel echoed. That night, Sophie asleep. Daniel and Olivia sat on his couch, exhausted. Today was awful. Top 5 worst days ever. "We're going to have more days like this, I know. Can we survive them?" "We have to, because the alternative is living without each other." Long pause. "Olivia, I need to tell you something." "Okay." "I love you, not just falling for you, I love you. Completely, terrifyingly, all in love you." Olivia's eyes filled with tears. "I love you too, both of you. You've become my family." They held each other on that old couch, two people choosing each other despite everything. And somehow that choice felt like the strongest thing they'd ever done. The school situation didn't magically resolve. Parents still whispered. Some kids still said cruel things, though Mrs. Peterson cracked down hard on bullying. But something had shifted. Sophie stopped trying to hide. She talked proudly about Mom Olivia, as she'd started calling her differentiating from Mom Rachel. When kids made comments, she'd respond with calm certainty. "My dad and Olivia love each other. That's all that matters." The bullies eventually moved on to easier targets. Olivia, meanwhile, found herself at a crossroads. The board tension hadn't eased. Victor Torres continued pushing for a fraternization policy that everyone knew was aimed at her relationship. Elizabeth Chen tried to mediate, but the pressure was constant. Her father's weekly Sunday calls had become unbearable. "You're embarrassing yourself. The business community is laughing at you. When this falls apart, don't come crying to me." On a Wednesday in mid-June, Olivia sat in her corner office, looking at Seattle spread below her. The Space Needle, Elliott Bay, Mount Rainier, visible through rare, clear skies. She'd spent 29 years building to this moment. CEO by 29, successful by every metric her father valued, and she'd never been more miserable. Margaret knocked, entering with coffee. "You've been staring out that window for 20 minutes. That's not like you." "I'm thinking about quitting." Margaret sat down carefully. "Quitting what exactly?" "This. All of it. CEO, the board, battles the endless proving myself." "I'm tired, Margaret. What would you do instead? I don't know. Something real. Something that matters beyond quarterly profits." Margaret studied her. "This is about more than the board pressure, isn't it?" Daniel asked me last week what I'd do if I wasn't CEO. I couldn't answer, because I've never let myself imagine anything else. And now I imagine spending mornings with Sophie, helping with homework, being present for her life instead of squeezing her in between conference calls. I imagine time with Daniel that isn't stolen minutes between meetings. I imagine building something that actually helps people, like what affordable housing, community development, using my business skills for something that matters. Margaret smiled. "That sounds wonderful. My father will disown me." "Your father disowned you emotionally years ago. You just haven't accepted it." The truth hit Olivia like cold water. What if I'm making a mistake? What if you're not? "Olivia, I've worked for 3 CEOs. You're the best, most capable, most successful. You're also the unhappiest. If this job is making you miserable, why stay?" "Because I'm supposed to. Because I fought so hard to get here." Sunk cost fallacy. You've spent years building something you don't actually want. Olivia looked at her assistant. Her friend, really. "When did you get so wise?" "I've been wise. You just started listening." That night, Olivia arrived at Daniel's apartment with Thai takeout and a serious expression. After Sophie went to bed, she told him her decision. "I'm going to step down as CEO." Daniel's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. "What? No. Olivia, don't do that for me. I'm not doing it for you. I'm doing it for me." She took his hands. "You asked me months ago if I liked being CEO. The answer was no. I don't. I do it because I'm supposed to. Because my father expected it. Because I didn't know what else to do. But it's your company. It was my father's company. I've been maintaining his legacy, not building my own life. Voice strengthening. I'm going to transition to chairman of the board. Still involved strategically, but not running daily operations. That'll free me to build something I actually care about. Like what community housing development? Using my skills to help people afford to live in this city. Maybe partnering with local organizations, creating jobs, actually making a difference. Daniel processed this, seeing she was serious. What about your father? He'll be furious. He'll call it quitting. But his approval isn't worth more than my happiness. Olivia, this is huge. I know, but I've been thinking about it for weeks. Since the school thing with Sophie. Since the board meeting. Since every morning I wake up dreading work. Cupping his face. I want to live Daniel. Actually live, not just survive. I want mornings with you. Breakfast with Sophie. To go to her school plays without taking calls. I want a life. Are you sure, more sure than I've been about anything? Kissing him. Deep. Certain. I'm all in. Completely terrifyingly all in. Me too. No more pushing you away when I'm scared. And I'll stop trying to fix everything with money. Maybe fix a few things. Your resources are useful. Laughing together. Storm passing. The board meeting was scheduled for a Tuesday in late July. Olivia had prepared her resignation speech, practiced it with Margaret, revised it 3 times. But when she walked into the conference room and saw Victor's smug expression, clearly thinking this was another opportunity to undermine her, something fierce rose in her chest. She wasn't quitting in defeat. She was choosing freedom. Thank you all for coming. I have an announcement regarding the company's leadership structure. Victor leaned forward. What announcement? Effective October 1st, I'm stepping down as CEO of Bennett Tech Solutions. Stunned silence. You're what Elizabeth said. I'll be transitioning to chairman of the board. I've already identified my recommendation for interim CEO while we conduct a formal search. Robert's face showed shock. Olivia, you can't just quit. I'm not quitting. I'm restructuring my role to better serve both the company and my life. Victor's voice was sharp. This is because of that maintenance worker. You're throwing away your career for... Be very careful how you finish that sentence. Ice in her voice. My relationship with Daniel has made me reevaluate my priorities. But this decision is about me choosing the life I want, not the life I'm supposed to want. She explained her plan. Board seat maintained, strategic oversight, quarterly reviews, but not 16-hour days sacrificing everything. Bennett Tech doesn't need a burned-out CEO who resents being here. It needs leadership that's passionate and present. The vote 5-2 in favor. Victor and 1 other dissenting. Then it's official. I'll work with the transition team over the next 2 months. As she stood to leave, Elizabeth stopped her. Olivia, I think you're brave. I hope you find what you're looking for. Thank you, Elizabeth. The transition took 2 months. Olivia trained her replacement, a brilliant woman from their Portland office. She documented processes, handed off relationships, slowly extracted herself from daily operations. It was harder than she'd anticipated. The work had been her identity for so long, letting go felt like losing a limb. She had panic attacks, sleepless nights, moments of wondering if she'd made a terrible mistake. Daniel supported without pushing. Margaret reminded her why she'd chosen this. Sophie's innocent wisdom helped Mommy. You're happier now, I can tell. Mommy. Sophie had started using it naturally about a month ago. Olivia's father called once. She answered knowing it would be ugly. This is the most foolish thing you've ever done. I'm happy with my decision. Happy you're throwing away everything I built. That you built. Not me. I was maintaining your legacy, not building my life. And what life is that? Playing house with some blue-collar nobody. Anger rising. His name is Daniel. And he makes me happier than your approval ever did. He's using you. Even if he was, which he's not, it would still be my choice. My life. My happiness. Voice strengthening. I'm done trying to earn your love by sacrificing mine. I'm done measuring my worth by corporate achievements. I'm done being who you wanted instead of who I am. Don't call me when this falls apart. I won't need to. because even if it does, it'll have been worth it." She hung up, hands shaking, but feeling free. 30 years of trying to please him over. Rachel's sister Jennifer had been watching from afar. She'd seen social media posts, heard through mutual friends. Finally, she reached out to Daniel. "I'm coming to Seattle next week. I'd like to meet Olivia." Daniel's stomach dropped. "Jen, I don't know if I need to see who's in my niece's life." Non-negotiable, Danny. They met at a coffee shop in Fremont. Jennifer was early, sitting with folded arms when Daniel and Olivia arrived. She looked like Rachel, same eyes, same cheekbones. Olivia saw Daniel's grief flicker. "Jen, this is Olivia. Olivia, Rachel's sister Jennifer." Jennifer's handshake was firm. Assessing. "So you're the CEO. Former CEO as of last week." Eyebrows rose. "Really?" They ordered coffee. Sat. Uncomfortable silence. "Sophie talks about you constantly," Jennifer said finally. "Mom Olivia this, Mom Olivia that. She's an incredible kid." "She is. Rachel's kid. Let's be clear about that. I would never try to replace... And yet she's calling you Mom." Olivia's throat tightened. She came up with that herself. "To differentiate. Mom Rachel and Mom Olivia. She still talks about Rachel all the time." "Does she? Or is she forgetting her real mother?" Daniel interjected. "Jen, that's not fair, isn't it? She was 3 when Rachel died. Now she's 7. Olivia's been around, 6 months? How much does Sophie actually remember versus what she's being told?" Olivia stayed calm. "I make sure Sophie knows about Rachel. We visited her memorial bench together. I asked Daniel to tell stories. I've encouraged Sophie to talk about her feelings. Because you feel guilty. Because Rachel matters. She's part of Sophie's identity. She's part of Daniel's life. I'm not trying to erase her. I'm trying to honor her by loving the people she loved." Jennifer's armor cracked slightly. "Rachel was my best friend. We talked every day. When she died, I lost my person. And Danny shut down so hard, wouldn't return calls, cut everyone out. I've barely seen Sophie in 4 years." Tears in her eyes. "I'm terrified that Sophie's going to forget Rachel completely, that she'll grow up not knowing how amazing her mother was." "She won't," Olivia said firmly. "We won't let that happen. If you want to be more involved in Sophie's life, we'll make that happen. Sophie should know her aunt, should hear stories from someone who knew Rachel as an adult, not just as a wife." Jennifer studied her. "You mean that completely? Sophie needs all the people who love her, including you." Silence. Jennifer's walls crumbling. "Okay," she said finally. "Okay, maybe I was wrong about you. You weren't wrong to be protective. You were being a good sister. Can I take Sophie for a day this weekend, just us? I want to tell her about Rachel. Things Danny might not know." Daniel nodded. She'd love that. That Saturday, Jennifer took Sophie to the Seattle Aquarium, something she and Rachel used to do. "Your mom loved jellyfish," Jennifer told Sophie. She'd stand at the jellyfish tank for an hour just watching them float. "Mom Olivia likes jellyfish too. We went last month." "Yeah, what else does she like?" "She likes when I draw pictures, and she's learning to braid my hair. And she helps with my homework, even though math is hard for her." Jennifer smiled. "What do you remember about your mom?" Rachel, Sophie thought hard, her voice singing, and she smelled like cookies. And she was warm. Like when she hugged me, I felt really safe. You were safe. She loved you so much. "I know, Daddy tells me, and Mom Olivia tells me." "How do you feel about having 2 mums?" "I feel lucky. Not many kids get 2 mums. Most kids only get 1. But I got 2 mums who both love me a lot." Child logic. Perfect wisdom. That evening, Jennifer returned Sophie and stayed for dinner, watching Olivia and Daniel cook together their easy rhythm. How Olivia naturally anticipated what Sophie needed. The way Daniel looked at Olivia like she was his whole world. Before leaving, Jennifer pulled Olivia aside. "I was wrong about you. Rachel would have liked you. Actually, she probably would have loved you because you're making Danny happy again. And that's all she wanted, for him to be happy." Thank you for saying that. Take care of them. They're my family. They're mine too now. Understanding passed between them. Blessing received. Olivia's housing project, now officially underway, held its groundbreaking ceremony on a clear October Saturday. Empty lot in North Seattle, future site of 40 affordable units with on-site childcare and job training center. Small crowd gathered, city officials, donors. Daniel, Sophie, Margaret, Jake, Mrs. Patterson. Olivia stood at the podium, still nervous about public speaking. 6 months ago, I was CEO of a tech company. I was successful by every traditional measure, and I was miserable. Looking at Daniel and Sophie. Then I met people who showed me that success isn't measured in profit margins. It's measured in lives touched, in families housed, in communities built. She explained the vision, partnered with local non-profits. Sustainable design, community garden. This project represents second chances for families who've lost housing, for single parents building stable lives, for children who deserve safe spaces to grow. Getting emotional. I've learned that privilege comes with responsibility, not to make more money, but to help others have opportunities I took for granted. This is the beginning. After the ceremony, Daniel pulled her aside. There's something you should see. Walking to building plans, pointing to dedication plaque design. Rachel Hayes Community Center. In memory of Rachel Hayes, 1988 to 2019, mother, wife, friend. Find joy even when it's hard. Olivia's eyes filled with tears. You named it after Rachel. She would have loved this, loved you for doing it. Seemed right to honor her. I don't know what to say. Say you'll marry me. World stopping. Sophie gasping nearby. What Daniel kneeling right there in front of everyone. I had a whole plan. Romantic dinner at Canlis, rose petals, the works. But standing here seeing you make Rachel's memory into something beautiful, I can't wait. Pulling ring from pocket. Simple. Beautiful. Olivia Bennett. You walked into my life when I'd given up on anything beyond surviving. You didn't just save me from an elevator. You saved me from myself. Voice thick with emotion. You love my daughter like she's yours. You honor Rachel's memory instead of competing with it. You gave up a corner office to be part of our cramped apartment chaos. You chose love over safety. Sophie stage whispering. Say yes, crowd laughing. What Sophie said. Say yes, marry me. Be Sophie's mom officially. Be my wife. Help me build this life. Please. You're proposing at a groundbreaking ceremony. I'm proposing at the place that represents everything we believe in. Second chances. Building together. Love that doesn't care about bank accounts. It's perfect. You're perfect. Yes. God, yes. Daniel sliding ring on her finger. Kissing while crowd erupted. Sophie running over, throwing arms around both. I get a mom. A real mom. Olivia kneeling. You get a mom who loves you more than she knew possible. Can I call you just Mom now? Not Mom. Olivia, through tears, I would love that more than anything. The wedding was scheduled for a Saturday in mid-December at Seattle's Japanese Garden. Small, intimate, beautiful, even in winter. Guest list, 50 people. Margaret. Mrs. Patterson, Jake and maintenance crew, Jennifer Daniels' parents, Elizabeth Chen, close friends, Sophie's classmates. No father to walk Olivia down the aisle. She walked alone, or not alone, because Sophie walked with her, holding her hand. Daniel cried before she reached him, Sophie between them during ceremony, holding both hands. Judge officiating. Vows, Daniel, Olivia. You taught me that hearts can expand to hold new love without diminishing old love. You honor Rachel by being an amazing mom to Sophie. You honor me by choosing this life. I promise to love you through every doubt. I promise Sophie will always come first, but you'll never come second. I promise to choose you every single day forever. Olivia crying. Daniel, you taught me that success isn't dollars or titles. You showed me family is built, not born. That love is choice. I promise to be the mom Sophie deserves. The wife you deserve. The partner who shows up, who stays, who chooses you forever. To Sophie, I promise to honor your mom Rachel's memory, to tell you stories, to make sure you know you were loved before I arrived, and you're loved even more now. You made me a mother. Thank you for that gift. Sophie, to Judge. Can I say something? Of course. Thank you for being brave, for loving each other when people were mean. You taught me love is stronger than mean words. You're my favorite people. No dry eyes. The kiss. Judge pronouncing them married. Deep certain. Sophie jumping between for group hug. Reception at Daniel's apartment. Now their apartment, though they'd started house hunting. Mrs. Patterson's cooking potluck style. Dancing in living room to Spotify playlist. Sophie's artwork as decoration. First dance, can't help falling in love. 3 of them swaying together. Jake's toast. When Daniel started dating the CEO, I thought he was nuts. Turns out he was smart. She's not CEO anymore, she's just Olivia. And Olivia fits our lives better than any CEO could. To finding where you belong? To finding where you belong. Evening, ending with Sophie falling asleep mid-party on couch. Daniel carrying her to bed. Olivia following, tucking her in together. Our daughter. They'd found a house in Maple Leaf. Older neighborhood, good schools, yards for kids. 3 bedrooms, Sophie's theirs, office/guest room. Backyard with space for garden and swing set. The mortgage was manageable because Olivia put down a large payment without making Daniel feel inadequate. Our money now, not mine, she'd said firmly. Sunday morning, 18 months after that elevator. Olivia woke first old habits but didn't jump up. Daniel's arm around her waist, still amazing. Kitchen, making real breakfast. French toast. Olivia actually good at cooking now. Daniel appearing, kissing her neck. Domestic routine, comfortable and loving. Sophie still asleep, miracle. Because Sundays are Gasworks Park days. Their life now, Olivia running Second Chance Housing Initiative. 3 affordable projects in development. Daniel promoted to building supervisor at Bennett Tech, managing entire maintenance team. Sophie, thriving, confident, happy. Regular family dinners. Normal problems, homework, stress, mortgage payments, whose turn for dishes. Normal joys. Movie nights, art shows, weekend trips to Mount Rainier. Sophie, appearing hair wild. Is it French toast? Good morning to you too. Hugging Olivia. Good morning, Mum. Word still making Olivia's heart swell. Breakfast conversation. Sophie asking about Olivia's former CEO life. Do you ever miss it? Being really important. I am really important. I'm your mom. Most important job in the world. But you used to be in charge of a whole company. I was in charge of a company but not in charge of my life. Now I am. I choose how I spend my time, who I spend it with. That's real power. Plus she's helping more people now. Daniel added. We're helping more people. Partnership. Gasworks Park, their Sunday spot. Walking together. Sophie running ahead. Reaching familiar bench overlooking Lake Union. Plaque in memory of Rachel Hayes, forever loved, never forgotten. Annual ritual, sitting together, Sophie between parents. Hi, Mom Rachel. I brought pictures. Their language, Mom Rachel versus Mom. Both honored. School photos from backpack placed by plaque. I got Student of the Month. Mrs. Peterson says I'm really good at science. Mom's been helping me with projects. Daniel too, bench to Rachel's memory. She's amazing, Rach. Smart, kind, curious. You'd be so proud. Olivia, comfortable speaking now. I hope I'm doing okay. Being her mom. Sometimes I wonder what you'd do. I hope I'm honoring you by loving her so much. Daniel's hand squeezed hers. Mom, you're a great mom. Mom Rachel would think so too. Child certainty absolute. They talked about Rachel's memories, voice singing, smell like cookies, feeling safe. I feel safe with you too, Mom. Highest compliment possible. Sophie's question. Do you think Mom Rachel knows about you? From heaven, I think she does. I think she's happy you have someone who loves you as much as she did. And she's not jealous. Love doesn't work that way. Your mum Rachel loved you so much she'd want you to have all the love possible. I'm lucky. Most kids get one mum. I got two. Evening. After dinner. Sophie doing homework, Daniel washing dishes, Olivia drying. Domestic rhythm perfected over 18 months. I need to tell you something, Olivia said. Everything okay? Everything's perfect. Actually, maybe too perfect. What does that mean? I'm pregnant. Wooden plate dropping into sink. Sophie's pencil freezing. You're... What? 8 weeks. Found out this morning. Wanted to tell you together. Sophie launching herself at Olivia, squealing. I'm going to be a big sister. Can we get bunk beds? Boy or girl, can I name them? Olivia laughing. We have time to figure all that out. Looking at Daniel, still speechless. Daniel, say something. I didn't think... After Rachel, I thought Sophie would be my only... I know this is unexpected. Interrupting, pulling her close. I'm happy. So happy. Just overwhelmed. Good overwhelmed. 3 of them together, soon to be 4. Sophie's hand on Olivia's stomach. Hi, baby. I'm your big sister. I'm going to teach you everything. Even my terrible jokes, Daniel added. Daddy, no. They're really not good. Laughter. Joy. Anticipation. Baby Emma Hayes arrived on a snowy February morning. 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Dark hair like Daniel, green eyes like Olivia. Sophie was at the hospital within hours, still in her school uniform, bouncing with excitement. Can I hold her? Can I please? Daniel showed her how to support Emma's head, and Sophie stared at her baby sister with pure wonder. She's so tiny. Was I this tiny? Even tinier, Daniel said. You were early. Mom, she has your eyes. Olivia's heart swelled. Sophie called her Mom naturally now. No more Mom, Olivia. She has your dad's hair. She's perfect. 6 weeks later, late March, Emma sleeping in her bassinet. Sophie at school, Daniel at work. Olivia alone in their house holding this tiny human who'd somehow made their family complete. The doorbell rang. Olivia answered carefully, Emma in her arms. Margaret stood there holding flowers and a casserole. I told you I'd bring dinner for the first month. You don't have to. Yes, I do. Your family. Inside, Margaret met Emma properly cooing over her while Olivia made tea. How does it feel? Margaret asked. Being a mom to a newborn. Terrifying. Exhausting. Perfect. And Sophie, best big sister ever. She sings to Emma every morning before school. They sat together, comfortable silence. Then Margaret said, I'm proud of you, Olivia. For what? For having the courage to walk away from everything you thought you wanted. For choosing this life. It was the right choice. I know. But it took bravery. Your father hasn't met Emma. Won't answer my calls. I sent pictures anyway. Maybe someday. And if not, then Emma has Daniel's parents. Jennifer, Mrs. Patterson, Jake, our community. Family isn't just blood. Margaret smiled. No, it's not. Rachel Hayes Community Center officially opened on a warm May afternoon. 40 affordable housing units, on-site childcare, job training center, community garden, thriving. Everything Olivia had envisioned. The ceremony was bigger this time, city officials, donors, media. But Olivia only saw her family in the front row. Daniel holding Emma Sophie beside him, both beaming with pride. At the podium, Olivia spoke about second chances, about Rachel Hayes' legacy, about building something that mattered. This center represents what I've learned over the past 2 years, that home isn't about expensive addresses or corner offices. It's about the people who choose you, the people who stay. Looking at Daniel, it's about finding where you belong and building that place together. After the ceremony, as they toured the completed building, Sophie asked to see the dedication plaque. Rachel Hayes Community Center, in memory of Rachel Hayes, 1988 to 2019, mother, wife, friend, find joy even when it's hard. Below a newer edition, funded by the Bennett Hayes Family Foundation building, second chances honoring first loves. Daniel's eyes filled with tears reading it. Sophie held his hand. Mom, Rachel would be happy, right? Yeah, Bug. She'd be really happy. That evening, all four of them in their backyard. Sophie pushing Emma on the baby swing, Daniel grilling burgers. Olivia in the garden pulling weeds dirt under her fingernails would have horrified CEO Olivia, but delighted this version. The sun was setting, painting Seattle sky in oranges and pinks. Mount Rainier visible in the distance, the mountain is out, as locals said. Daniel called everyone to the patio table. Burgers, potato salad, corn on the cob. Simple food. Perfect company. Sophie said grace, something she'd started doing recently. Thank you for our family. For baby Emma. For Mom and Dad. For Mom Rachel watching from heaven. For this food. Amen. Amen, everyone echoed. As they ate, Emma babbling in her high chair, Sophie talking about her science fair project. Daniel's hand found Olivia's under the table. Happy? He whispered. So happy. No regrets, not a single one. You just won. Olivia's heart skipped. What I regret not asking you out sooner. Could have had 3 years of this instead of 2. Laughing, squeezing his hand. We have the rest of our lives. Good point. Later, Sophie and Emma in bed, Daniel and Olivia on their back porch, new ritual replacing his old apartment couch. 2 years ago, Olivia said I was trapped in an elevator having a panic attack, thinking my life was over. And now I know it was just beginning. The elevator had to break me open. Daniel pulled her close. Poetic. I'm allowed to be poetic. I'm happy. Happy people get poetic. Are you happy? Really ecstatically, exhaustedly, perfectly happy. They sat in comfortable silence, listening to Seattle night sounds, distant traffic, neighbors' wind chimes. Emma's white noise machine through the monitor. You know what I love most about our life? Olivia said. What? It's messy. Sophie sometimes fails tests. The house needs repairs. We argue about whose turn for dishes. We're normal. We're real. We're imperfectly perfect. I spent 30 years chasing perfection. Never realized perfect is boring. This is better. This is everything. Inside, Emma began fussing. Both parents moved automatically, 2 years of teamwork making the response instinctive. In Emma's nursery, Olivia picked up their daughter while Daniel checked the diaper. Tag team perfected. Sophie appeared in doorway, rubbing eyes. Is Emma okay? Just needed a change. Go back to bed, bug. Can I stay? Just for a minute. Come here. All 4 of them in the small nursery. Emma content now, gurgling at her family. Sophie leaning against Daniel. Olivia holding Emma close. This is my favorite part of the day, Sophie said. The middle of the night, Daniel asked. No. When we're all together. Like a puzzle with all the pieces. Child wisdom perfect as always. Morning in the Hayes household. Olivia woke to sunlight streaming through windows, and Sophie's voice. Mom, Dad, Emma's awake, and she's trying to crawl. Both parents bolted from bed, racing to the nursery. Emma, 6 months old now, was on her stomach, rocking back and forth, determined to move forward. She's doing it, Sophie squealed. Emma lurched forward, almost not quite collapsing with frustrated cry. Come on, baby girl. Olivia encouraged, crouching beside her. You can do it. Daniel filmed on his phone, memory keeper of the family. Another lurch. Another almost. Then Emma moved forward, one tiny crawl face lighting up with triumph. She did it. Did you see? All celebrating Emma's milestone, Sophie most enthusiastically. Olivia caught Daniel's eye across Emma's head, both thinking the same thing. This is family. This chaos. This joy. This messy, beautiful, perfect family. Later, over breakfast, Sophie's slightly burnt pancakes she was learning to cook. Olivia's phone rang. Unknown number, she answered cautiously. Olivia male voice. Familiar. Painful. Dad silence from Daniel. Sophie's eyes widening. I saw the article. About the housing center. Rachel Hayes Center. Yes, it's impressive. What you've built. Thank you. Long pause. Then I was wrong. About you quitting. About Daniel. About all of it. Olivia's breath caught. I've been a stubborn old man, pushed you too hard, couldn't see that you were drowning trying to please me. Your mother says, Mom knows you called. She insisted I call. Said if I didn't, she'd leave me. After 45 years of marriage, I figured I should listen. Smallest laugh from Olivia. Smart man, can I meet them? Your family, my granddaughters. Tears in Olivia's eyes now, Daniel's hand on her shoulder. I'd like that. Yes. Good, that's good. I'll be in Seattle next month. If that's okay, more than okay. After hanging up, Olivia sat quietly processing. Sophie asked, that was Grandpa, yes. The mean one who didn't like Daddy. He's not mean, just stubborn. But he wants to meet you and Emma. Will he like us? He'll love you. How could he not? Daniel pulled Olivia close, whispering in her ear. You okay? Yeah. Surprised, but okay. Maybe people can change. Maybe. That afternoon they walked to Gasworks Park, now a family of 4. Emma in carrier on Daniel's chest. Sophie running ahead. They sat on their bench, Rachel's bench, looking at Lake Union sparkling. Mum Rachel Sophie said to the plaque, We have good news. Baby Emma crawled today, and Grandpa called. And Mum's housing project is helping lots of families. To the air, to Rachel's memory, Olivia added, Thank you. For Daniel, for Sophie, for teaching them to choose joy. I promise to keep teaching Sophie about you, and Emma will know you too. Daniel's arm around Olivia, Sophie between them. Emma content in carrier. Family. Chosen, built, imperfect, perfect. 2.5 years ago, Olivia had been trapped in an elevator, terrified and alone. Now she was here, free, loved, home. All because she'd asked one question. Can I have a date with you? And Daniel Hayes, single dad, maintenance worker, beautiful human, had said yes. Friends, if this story reminded you that love has nothing to do with bank accounts and everything to do with choosing each other, we'd love for you to be part of our community. Hit that subscribe button right now and join our channel where we celebrate love that breaks all the rules and families that are built on courage, not convenience. If this moment moved you, if you felt something shift in your heart, watching Olivia and Daniel choose love over status, click that like button. Your support helps us bring more stories like this to people who need to remember that second chances are real, that broken doesn't mean finished, and that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk up to someone and say, I don't have a husband. Can I have a date with you? Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe they're struggling with what other people think. Maybe they're afraid to ask for what they want. Maybe they just need to be reminded that love is always worth the risk. Drop a comment below and tell us, what's the bravest thing you've ever done for love? We read every single comment, and your stories inspire us to keep creating content that matters. Because sometimes that person, the one who seems impossible, the one who doesn't fit your world, is exactly the person who changes your entire world. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. The champagne was expensive. French. The kind that came with its own certificate of authenticity. Claire Thompson lifted the glass to her lips and tasted nothing. Below her floor-to-ceiling windows, the city sparkled with Christmas lights. Families moved like tiny figures through snow-dusted streets, heading somewhere warm. Heading home. She was 30 years old, CEO of Vision Tech worth $40 million on paper, and completely, utterly alone. Her phone buzzed against the marble countertop. The 47th notification since noon. She'd been counting. All business. Not one person asking if she was okay. Claire scrolled through them mechanically. Board members wanting updates. Rick, her CFO, forwarding quarterly projections. Investors with demands that couldn't wait until after the holiday. Then one text from 3 days ago, buried under the avalanche of work. Beth, invitation still stands for Christmas Eve. Just family. No pressure. Really hope you come this year. Claire had responded the same way she always did. Can't. Quarterly reports to review. But thank you. Beth hadn't replied. Why would she? 5 years of the same excuse. Claire set down her phone and stared at the Christmas tree in the corner. She'd paid her assistant to have it delivered and decorated. Professional designer, perfect placement, every ornament coordinated in silver and white. It looked like something from a magazine spread. It felt like absolutely nothing. A memory surfaced, sharp and unwanted. 14 years ago, her parents' living room, a crooked tree covered in handmade ornaments and too much tinsel. Her dad lifting her up to place the star on top. Careful, Claire Bear. Make a wish while you do it. What should I wish for? Whatever matters most to you. She'd wished for her family to be together forever. 6 months later, the house fire took them both. Christmas night, while they were sleeping. The tree lights they'd left plugged in one frayed wire nobody had noticed. Claire drained her glass, refilled it, stared at the perfect tree that wouldn't burn down, wouldn't give her memories, wouldn't give her anything except the hollow satisfaction of checking another box. The doorman had wished her Merry Christmas on the way in. She'd paused, actually struggled to remember how to respond. When was the last time those words had crossed her lips? You too, George, she'd finally managed. His surprised smile had made something twist in her chest. Now the silence of her penthouse pressed against her like a physical weight. She could hear her own heartbeat. The hum of the refrigerator, the distant wail of a siren 12 floors below. Not one sound of life, of love, of mattering to anyone. Claire grabbed her coat. She couldn't stay here, not tonight. Not with 14 years of ghosts and the crushing realization that she'd built exactly the life she'd sworn she wanted, and it was killing her. Outside, snow was falling soft and steady, turning the city into something from a postcard. Through lit windows, Claire could see families gathering. A father helping his daughter hang stockings. A mother pulling cookies from an oven while children pressed their noses against the glass. An elderly couple slow dancing in their living room, no music needed. She stopped outside a modest house where a little boy was climbing onto his father's shoulders to place a star on their tree. The dad's face was lit with pure joy as he steadied his son. Her own father doing the same. His laugh. His hands keeping her safe. Gone. 14 years gone. And she was still alone. Tears froze on her cheeks before she could wipe them away. She forced herself to keep walking, head down, shoulders tight against the cold, and the memories pressing in from all sides. 2 blocks later she saw it. The copper kettle. A diner with steamed windows and a neon sign that flickered slightly. The kind of place she'd never normally enter. But through the glass she could see warmth, light. People who weren't alone. Just for coffee, she told herself. Just to be around humans for a little while. She pushed through the doorbell, jingling above her head. The diner smelled like coffee and bacon grease and something sweet from the pie case. Christmas music played from speakers mounted above the counter. Silent night competing with the hiss of the espresso machine. Claire stood in the doorway, suddenly aware of how out of place she was. Her coat probably cost more than everything in this room combined. Her shoes were Louboutin. Her watch was Cartier. She might as well have worn a sign, "Not from here." The diner was nearly empty. A tired waitress with a name tag reading Donna was restocking coffee supplies behind the counter. An elderly man sat in a corner booth with his newspaper and a cup that looked like it had been refilled many times. A young couple occupied a booth in the back, heads close together, whispering. Every eye turned toward Claire. "Just you, Hon?" Donna's voice was kind, despite the exhaustion etched into her face. Claire flinched at the question. The emphasis on just. "Yes, just coffee, please. Take any seat you like." Claire settled at the counter, grateful to turn her back on the curious stares. She wrapped her hands around the coffee cup when it arrived, letting the warmth seep into her fingers. When had she last held something warm just for comfort? The door opened with a blast of cold air and the jingle of bells someone had hung for the season. Claire glanced up out of habit. A man stepped inside, a little girl tucked against his side. Both were shivering despite their winter coats, the kind that looked worn but clean. Loved and patched, and kept for years because buying new ones wasn't really an option. The girl's eyes lit up like stars when she saw the Christmas lights strung haphazardly around the diner's interior. "Daddy, look," she pointed with mittened hands. "They have Christmas here too?" The man smiled, despite the exhaustion carved into every line of his face. Early 30s, brown hair dusted with snow, hazel eyes that crinkled at the corners when he looked at his daughter. "Santa knows about this place, sweetheart." "He does. Of course. Santa knows about everywhere. That's his job, remembering all the places where good kids live." The girl beamed, maybe 6 years old, curly brown hair escaping from beneath a knit cap, missing one front tooth. Her sneakers had sequins on them, half fallen off from wear. They approached the counter, settling 2 stools down from Claire. The man pulled out his wallet. Claire watched from the corner of her eye as his expression shifted, jaw tightening, shoulders dropping slightly. He was counting quarters. Dimes, nickels, a few crumpled dollar bills smoothed flat with desperate care. Not enough. She could see it in the way his hand stilled, the way he swallowed hard. The girl hummed Jingle Bells softly, oblivious to her father's tension. She kicked her feet against the stool, making the sequins on her worn sneakers catch the light. Donna appeared with her order pad and a weary smile. "What can I get you folks?" The man hesitated. Claire watched him calculate, making choices no father should have to make on Christmas Eve. "Just hot chocolate for my daughter," he said carefully, voice steady despite everything. "And maybe some toast." Donna's expression softened. That's all we need tonight." The girl looked up at her father, really looked at him with the kind of seeing that only children possess. "Aren't you hungry, Daddy?" "I'm fine, Em." "But you didn't eat lunch." Her voice was small, worried. "Or breakfast." "Emma, you always say breakfast is important." The man's face flushed. His hand shook slightly as he set the money on the counter. $4.73 in mixed change. Around them, the diner had gone quiet. Other customers trying not to stare, trying not to witness this moment of private desperation made public. Claire's chest cracked open. She was sitting here in a $1,000 coat, drowning in champagne and loneliness by choice, by her own design. Because she'd decided walls were safer than windows. This man was counting quarters to buy his daughter toast on Christmas Eve. Her hand moved before her brain could engage. "Excuse me." Her voice came out steady. "Professional," the voice she used in boardrooms to command attention. The man turned, surprised. Whatever they order, Claire continued addressing Donna, but keeping her eyes on the man. "Put it on my bill, and add full meals for both of them, please." The man stared at her. His hazel eyes searched her face for the catch, the pity, the judgment. That's very kind, but we're okay." Claire met his gaze. Something passed between them. Recognition of pride, maybe, of the terrible weight of needing help. "I'm sure you are," she said gently. "But I'm sitting here alone on Christmas Eve, and buying you both dinner would make me feel less pathetic about that. So really you'd be doing me a favor." The man studied her face, looking for the lie, looking for the trap. She made sure he didn't find either. The girl tugged on his sleeve, whispering urgently, too quiet for Claire to hear, but she could read the child's expression, the hope, the hunger, the trust that her father would make the right choice. Finally, he nodded. Slowly. His shoulders dropped, tension releasing. "Thank you." His voice was rough. "I'm Daniel. This is Emma, Claire." Emma waved shyly her mitten, making a soft sound against the counter. "Hi, Miss Claire." Claire found herself smiling, a real smile, not the polished one she used for investors. "Hi, Emma. What's your favorite thing about Christmas?" Emma's entire face transformed, like someone had flipped a switch and suddenly all the lights came on at once. "Everything. But mostly the magic part. Daddy says Christmas has special magic that only happens once a year." She looked at her father for confirmation. "Right, Daddy." Daniel's expression was complicated, and sadness, and something that looked like guilt all tangled together. "Right, sweetheart." Donna reappeared with her order pad. "So what'll it be, the real order this time?" Daniel glanced at the menu board above the counter. Claire watched him try to choose the least expensive items even now. "Don't," she said quietly. "Order what you want, both of you. That's too much. It's Christmas Eve. Please." Emma tugged his sleeve again. "Can I have pancakes with chocolate chips?" Daniel looked at Claire. She nodded. Pancakes with chocolate chips, he told Donna. And I'll have the burger. With fries. Extra fries, Claire added, and whatever pie you have for dessert. We have apple and cherry, one of each, for sharing. After Donna left, awkward silence settled between them. Claire took a sip of coffee. Daniel stared at his hands. Emma looked between them with 6-year-old curiosity. Then Emma broke the silence with the kind of direct question only children ask. Why are you eating alone? Don't you got family? Emma, Daniel warned gently. That's personal. It's okay. Claire surprised herself by being honest. I don't have family nearby, and I work a lot, so I never really made close friends who'd want to spend holidays with me. Emma's forehead wrinkled as she processed this with the seriousness children bring to big concepts. That sounds lonely. The simple observation hit like a punch to the chest. No pity, no judgment, just truth delivered by someone too young to know how much it would hurt. It is, Claire admitted. Sometimes. Daddy gets lonely too. But he says we got each other, so it's okay. Emma looked at her father. Right, Daddy. Daniel's ears turned slightly red. Emma, maybe Miss Claire doesn't want to talk about. It's fine, Claire said. And strangely it was. Your daughter's right. Being alone is lonely, even when it's your own choice. Emma studied her with the intense focus of childhood, the kind that sees through expensive coats and perfect hair to the person underneath. You should come celebrate with us. Emma. No, Daddy, listen. Emma's voice rose with excitement. Miss Claire is nice, and she bought us dinner, and she's sad, and you always say nobody should be alone on Christmas. Daniel looked mortified and touched in equal measure. That's very sweet, Em, but Claire probably has plans. I don't. The words came out before Claire could think them through. I don't have plans. They stared at each other across the counter. Daniel's hazel eyes searching hers, trying to understand why a woman in $1,000 coat would want to spend Christmas with strangers in a one-bedroom apartment. Emma grinned, showing the gap where her front tooth used to be. Then it settled. You're coming home with us for Christmas. Donna brought their food to a booth instead of the counter. More room for a family dinner, she said, with a knowing smile that made Claire's throat tighten. Family. They slid into the booth, Emma in the middle, Claire and Daniel on either side. It felt natural, despite being completely strange. Emma's pancakes arrived piled high with chocolate chips. She stared at them like they were treasure eyes wide with wonder. Can I really eat all these? Every single one, Daniel said, voice thick with emotion. Miss Claire made sure of it. Emma picked up her fork, then paused. We should say what we're thankful for first. That's what Grandma used to do. Daniel's expression flickered with old pain before smoothing into something softer. Okay, sweetheart, you start. Emma closed her eyes very seriously, hands folded on the table. I'm thankful for Daddy, and for Miss Claire buying us dinner, and for chocolate chip pancakes, and for Christmas magic. She opened her eyes and looked at Daniel expectantly. Your turn. I'm thankful for you, Em, for your big heart that's always looking out for other people. Both of them turned to Claire. Your turn. Miss Claire. Claire's eyes burned. When was the last time she'd said grace? Her parents used to do this before every meal, no matter how simple. I'm thankful for meeting both of you tonight. She managed. For not spending Christmas completely alone. Emma nodded solemnly. That's a good one. They ate. Emma chattered between bites about school and her best friend Sophie and the snowman they'd built last week that was probably melting now because yesterday got warm. Claire watched Daniel as Emma talked, the way he listened with complete attention, the way he cut her pancakes into smaller pieces without being asked, the way his whole face softened when he looked at his daughter. This was love. Real unconditional parent love. The kind Claire's parents had given her before the fire took them away. Tell Miss Claire about your drawing, Daniel prompted gently. Emma's face lit up. Oh, I draw pictures. Daddy says I'm real good at it. Want to see? Before Claire could answer, Emma was digging through her father's coat pocket. She produced a folded piece of paper and smoothed it on the table with care. It was a crayon drawing of 3 stick figures, one tall with brown hair, one small with curly hair, and one that looked like it had been erased and redrawn several times, the paper worn thin in that spot. "That's me and Daddy," Emma explained, pointing. "And that one was supposed to be Mommy, but she left, so I tried to draw Grandma instead. But she died, so now it's just empty." The casual way she said it broke Claire's heart into pieces. "Your grandma died last year," Daniel said quietly. "My mom. She helped me with Emma after he trailed off, jaw tightening. After my wife left. I'm sorry. It's okay." Emma patted Claire's hand with sticky fingers. "Grandma said she'd always watch over us, from heaven, like an angel. So she's still here, just different." They ate in comfortable silence for a moment. Then Emma's eyes went wide with sudden memory. "Daddy. The power. Did you check if it came back on?" Daniel pulled out his phone and checked his messages, brow furrowing. "Yeah, it's back. Maintenance company just confirmed." "What happened?" Claire asked. "Our building lost power this afternoon," Daniel explained. "Electrical issue I'll need to fix tomorrow. I'm the superintendent there, do repairs, maintenance, that kind of thing. We couldn't stay in a cold, dark apartment on Christmas Eve, so he gestured at the diner. Here we are." "We've been here for hours," Emma said, swinging her legs. "Daddy bought me one hot chocolate at the beginning, but then it ran out, and we were just sitting and waiting, and it was boring, until you came and made everything better, Emma. You can't just tell people they saved you from being bored." "Why not?" "It's true." Claire laughed a real laugh that came from somewhere deep in her chest. When was the last time she'd laughed like that? Daniel looked at her apologetically. "I should get her home. It's already way past bedtime." "No, it's not. It's Christmas break." "Oh, right. Can Miss Claire come with us?" Emma asked suddenly, looking between them with hope shining in her eyes. "Please. She said she doesn't have plans, and our apartment has heat now, and we have a Christmas tree." Daniel looked torn, protective instincts warring with something else. "Emma, I'm sure Claire doesn't want to." Actually, Claire heard herself say, "I'd love to, if it's really okay." Daniel studied her face, searching for the lie or the pity or whatever he expected to find. Claire looked back steadily, letting him see the truth. She was just lonely, just human, just desperate not to spend another Christmas alone. "Our place it's not fancy," he warned. "I've had fancy. It's overrated." Emma squealed and threw her arms around Claire's neck, nearly knocking over the syrup. "This is the best Christmas ever." The apartment building was old but well maintained, Daniel's handiwork visible everywhere. Fresh paint in the hallways, repaired trim, light fixtures that actually worked. "Third floor," he said, leading them upstairs that smelled like pine cleaner. "Elevator's been out for a month. I'm working on it." "You fix everything in the building?" Claire asked, following behind. "Pretty much. That's the job. In exchange we get free rent and a small salary. It's enough for us." Emma ran ahead, her footsteps echoing in the stairwell. "Don't run." I'm not running, I'm speed walking." Daniel smiled, despite himself. She's got an answer for everything. They reached apartment 3C. Daniel unlocked the door, and Emma burst inside like she'd been holding her breath the whole walk. "Welcome to our castle." Claire stepped inside and stopped. It was small, one bedroom, a bathroom, a living area that combined kitchen and living room. Maybe 500 square feet total, but it was warm, clean, lived in without being messy. And it felt like a home in a way her penthouse never had. A worn but comfortable couch, a small dining table with mismatched chairs, drawings covering every inch of the refrigerator held up with alphabet magnets, a Christmas tree in the corner, modest in size, but decorated with obvious love, handmade ornaments, paper snowflakes cut with childish precision, strings of lights that blinked unevenly but filled the room with warmth. "It's not much," Daniel said suddenly, self-conscious. "But it's home." "It's perfect," Claire said honestly. "It feels like a home. That's something I haven't had in a long time." Emma grabbed Claire's hand, her mitten finally removed to reveal small, warm fingers. "Come see my room. I share it with Daddy, but I have my own bed and everything." The bedroom was tiny. A twin bed for Emma, decorated with unicorn sheets. A larger mattress on the floor for Daniel, with blankets folded neatly at the foot. A small dresser. Toys organized in boxes along one wall, each labeled in Daniel's careful handwriting. This is Sparkles. Emma held up a stuffed unicorn, slightly worn from love. He's my favorite, and this is Mr. Bear, and these are my art supplies. She showed Claire everything with the generous pride of a child sharing her treasures, her crayons organized by color, her stack of drawing paper, most of it covered in elaborate scenes, her collection of rocks that she'd found and painted with designs. You're very organized, Claire observed, genuinely impressed. Daddy says a messy room makes for a messy mind. Emma said it like she was reciting scripture. Your daddy's very wise. I know. They returned to the living room to find Daniel in the kitchen area, pulling out ingredients from cabinets that Claire suspected contained very little. I was going to make hot chocolate, he said. The real kind from scratch. If you want some. I'd love that. Emma tugged on Claire's sleeve. I get to help Daddy taught me the perfect recipe. 3 marshmallows, not 2. That's the rule. Who made that rule? Me. I'm the hot chocolate boss. Daniel laughed, and the sound transformed his whole face. She's very serious about it. Claire watched them work together. Daniel heating milk in a small pot. Emma carefully measuring cocoa powder with her tongue sticking out in concentration, the easy way they moved around each other in the tiny kitchen. A dance perfected by repetition and love. Her penthouse had a kitchen 3 times this size. She'd never cooked anything in it except coffee. Can I help? She asked. Emma handed her the bag of marshmallows with grave responsibility. You can count. 3 for each cup. Not 2, not 4. 3. 3. Got it. They made hot chocolate together. Emma directing operations with firm authority, Daniel providing gentle corrections when she got too enthusiastic with the cocoa powder. Claire counting marshmallows and feeling lighter than she had in years. They settled on the couch, Claire in the middle, Emma on her left, Daniel on her right. The Christmas tree lights blinked in the corner. Soft holiday music played from an old radio that had probably been here for decades. Story time, Emma announced, jumping up. Miss Claire, you have to read to us. I don't. Emma was already running to get a book, bare feet padding against the worn carpet. She's determined, Daniel said apologetically. I can see that. Emma returned with The Night Before Christmas. The cover worn soft from years of handling. This one, your voice sounds like a teacher, and teachers are good at reading. Claire took the book with shaking hands. It's been a long time since I read this. Then it's specially important you read it now. Claire opened to the first page. Her voice cracked on the first word's emotion catching in her throat. 'Twas the night before Christmas when all through the house. She read slowly, carefully. Emma snuggled against her side, warm and trusting. Daniel's presence pressed against her other side, solid and real. By the time she reached Happy Christmas to all and to all, a good night, Emma's eyes were drooping. Daniel gently lifted his daughter. Bedtime, princess. But Miss Claire, we'll still be here when you wake up, I promise. He carried Emma to the bedroom. Claire could hear their quiet conversation through the thin wall. Is Miss Claire gonna stay? Just for tonight, sweetheart. I like her, Daddy. She's sad like you used to be. Maybe we can make her happy too. Maybe we can, Em. Sleep now. Love you, Daddy. Love you more. Daniel returned with 2 mugs of tea settling on the couch beside Claire, with careful space between them. Thank you for staying, he said quietly. Emma hasn't been this excited about Christmas in a while. Thank you for letting me stay. I haven't felt this. Claire paused, searching for the right word. Connected. In years. They sipped their tea in comfortable silence. The Christmas tree lights blinked rhythmically. The old building creaked and settled around them. Your daughter is amazing, Claire said finally. She's the best thing I ever did. Only thing I didn't mess up. You didn't mess anything up. You're raising her alone. That's brave. Daniel's laugh was hollow. Most days I feel like I'm barely keeping my head above water. You're doing more than that. She's happy. Secure. She knows she's loved. That's everything. Her mother left when she was 3. The words came out like they'd been held back for too long. No warning. Just a note on the kitchen table saying she couldn't do this anymore. That being a mother was holding her back from her dreams. Claire's hand moved instinctively, covering his where it rested on the couch between them. That wasn't about Emma. That was about her. I know. Logically, I know, but Emma sometimes asks why her mom didn't want her, and I don't have a good answer for that. The answer is that your ex-wife is an idiot. Emma is extraordinary. Their eyes met. Something sparked in the space between them. Recognition, maybe. Of shared loneliness. Of wounds that matched. Daniel's thumb brushed across Claire's knuckles, tentative and gentle. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why were you really alone tonight? You seem like someone who could have her pick of holiday invitations. Claire pulled her hand back, wrapping it around her tea mug like armor. I've spent 10 years building my company. 10 years of 14-hour days and missed birthdays and relationships that withered because I was never there. She stared into her tea. After my parents died, I decided work was safer than people. Work couldn't leave, couldn't die, couldn't hurt me. But it did hurt you. Yeah. Her voice was barely a whisper, just in a different way. I'm sorry about your parents. House fire when I was 16. They were home for Christmas instead of taking a work trip. If they'd chosen work, they'd still be alive. She looked up at him, eyes bright with old tears. So you see, I learned young that choosing people over work gets you nothing but loss. Claire, I know that's not logical, but grief isn't logical. And for 14 years I've been terrified of losing anyone else. So I just didn't let anyone in. Daniel shifted closer, not touching, but near enough that she could feel his warmth. My ex leaving destroyed me, he said quietly. Not just the abandonment, but what it did to Emma. Watching her wait by the window for a mom who was never coming back. He swallowed hard. I swore I'd never let anyone close enough to hurt us like that again. But then you walked into that diner, and Emma decided you were supposed to be in our lives. And Emma's usually right about these things. Claire's heart hammered against her ribs. I'm not good at this. At people. At being anything other than a CEO. I'm not good at it either. At trusting. At believing anyone would stay. They sat in silence, the space between them charged with possibility and fear in equal measure. I should probably sleep, Claire said finally. It's late. You can have the couch. I'll take the floor. Daniel. I can't take You're our guest. Please. He brought her a pillow and blanket, both worn soft from use. Their hands brushed during the exchange, and Claire felt something electric pass between them. Good night, Claire. Good night. She lay awake for a long time after he left, staring at the Christmas tree lights blinking in the corner, listening to the quiet sounds of Daniel settling in the bedroom, Emma's soft breathing through the wall. For the first time in 14 years, she wasn't alone on Christmas, and she wasn't sure what terrified her more, how good that felt, or how much she wanted it to stay that way. Claire woke to the smell of pancakes and the sound of giggles from the kitchen. For a confused moment, she didn't know where she was. Then memory returned the diner. Daniel Emma Christmas Eve spent in a one-bedroom apartment that felt more like home than anywhere she'd lived in years. She sat up on the couch. Someone Daniel had covered her with an extra blanket while she slept. The gesture made her throat tighten. Morning light streamed through the windows, turning the worn furniture golden. The Christmas tree looked softer in daylight, less perfect, but somehow more beautiful. No M that's too much batter. Crash. More giggles. Now it's everywhere, I can see that. Claire smiled before she was fully awake. When was the last time she'd woken up to laughter? She found them in the kitchen. Daniel in sweatpants and a t-shirt, his hair sticking up in the back. Emma in unicorn pajamas covered head to toe in pancake batter, looking like she'd waged war against breakfast and lost. Miss Claire, Emma spotted her and ran over batter-covered hands reaching. We're making pancakes. They're supposed to be Christmas trees, but they look like blobs. Daniel turned a sheepish smile on his face. Flour dusted his left cheek like war paint. We're not very good at this, he admitted. Claire surprised herself by laughing, really laughing from her belly. Can I help, please? They worked together, Emma providing enthusiastic but chaotic assistance. Daniel attempting to salvage the batter situation. Claire finding herself actually enjoying the mess, the imperfection, the humanity of it all. It was so different from her usual Christmas mornings alone with expensive coffee and quarterly reports, silence so complete she could hear her own thoughts echoing back at her. This was messy, loud, flour everywhere. This was perfect. Emma insisted they eat at the table like a real family. We are a real family, Daniel corrected gently. I know, but now we have Miss Claire too. That makes us more family. They ate misshapen pancakes covered in too much syrup. Emma told elaborate stories about the Christmas magic she was absolutely certain was happening outside. Santa definitely came to our building. I heard the roof creaking. That was probably Mr. Henderson in 4B, Daniel said. Or it was Santa. You can't prove it wasn't. After breakfast, Emma disappeared into the bedroom. She returned carrying a small wrapped package, walking carefully like it might break. This is for you, Miss Claire. Claire's throat tightened. Emma, you didn't have to. I wanted to. Daddy says Christmas is about giving, not just getting. So I picked my very favorite thing to give you. Claire unwrapped it carefully, her hands shaking slightly. Inside was a stuffed unicorn, slightly worn, clearly treasured for years. This is yours, Claire said, voice breaking. Emma, I can't. His name is Sparkles. He's really good at making people feel better when they're sad. Emma's face was serious, her voice carrying the wisdom of someone much older. I think you need him more than I do right now. Claire pulled Emma into a hug, tears streaming down her face without permission. Thank you. This is the most meaningful gift I've ever received. Really more than fancy stuff, more than any fancy stuff in the world. Emma beamed. See, Daddy, I told you she'd like it. Over Emma's head. Daniel mouthed. I tried to stop her. Claire shook her head slightly. It's perfect. They spent the morning playing board games. Emma pulled from a closet, Candyland with half the cards missing. Go fish with a deck that had seen better days, Uno, with house rules that Emma invented as they went along. Claire couldn't remember the last time she'd played board games, couldn't remember the last time she'd done anything just for the joy of it. Around noon, her phone started buzzing insistently. She'd silenced it but hadn't turned it off, couldn't quite bring herself to cut that cord completely. 97 notifications. Work, Daniel asked. Noticing her expression changed the way her shoulders tensed. Always work. You don't have to answer it. I'm the CEO. There's always something that needs. She stopped herself, looked at Emma, who was counting Uno cards with intense concentration, her tongue poking out slightly. Claire made a decision that felt both terrifying and liberating. She powered off the phone completely. Actually, I don't. Not today. Daniel's smile could have lit the entire city. That looked hard. Terrifying. I haven't turned off my phone in I can't remember how long. How does it feel? Like I'm about to have a panic attack. She laughed shakily, but also like I'm finally breathing properly for the first time in years. They settled on the couch, Emma sprawled between them, coloring in a new book Daniel had somehow managed to get her for Christmas, despite having no money. Claire looked at the two of them and felt something shift in her chest, like a door she'd locked 14 years ago was slowly, carefully opening. The day after Christmas, Claire stood in her penthouse, staring at her expensive furniture, and feeling nothing but emptiness. Her phone, which she'd finally turned back on, had exploded with messages. Rick demanding to know where she'd been. Board members furious about her absence. Beth worried she'd been kidnapped. Claire ignored them all and texted Daniel instead. Thank you for yesterday. It meant more than you know. The response came 30 seconds later, making her heart jump. Emma hasn't stopped talking about you. Asked if you're coming back. Fair warning, she's very persistent about these things. Would it be okay if I did? Come back, I mean. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Claire held her breath. We'd like that, both of us. 2 days later, Claire showed up at Daniel's building with bags of gifts. Too many bags, toys for Emma, expensive electronics designer clothes. Things that probably cost more than Daniel made in 6 months. She realized her mistake the moment she saw his face. Daniel opened the door, took one look at the pile of shopping bags, and his expression closed off completely. Claire, what is all this? I wanted to get Emma some things. And you? We can't accept this. Why not I can afford? That's not the point. Emma appeared behind him, her face lighting up when she saw Claire. Miss Claire, you came back. Hey, Em, did you bring presents? Emma, go to your room for a minute, Daniel said, his voice tight. But, now please. Emma's face fell. She looked between them, confused by the sudden tension, and slowly walked away, her footsteps dragging. Once she was gone, Daniel stepped into the hallway and closed the door behind him, putting a physical barrier between this conversation and his daughter. I appreciate the thought, but this is too much. I just wanted to help. We don't need help. We're doing fine. I didn't mean to offend. Claire. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident in every line of his body. I invited you into our home because Emma liked you, because you seemed genuine, not because we needed a rich benefactor throwing money at our problems. The words stung like a slap, cutting through her intentions to the truth beneath. That's not what I... Isn't it trying to buy your way in because you don't know how else to connect? Claire's mouth opened, closed, opened again. He was right. She'd fallen back on old patterns, using money because money was what she knew. Money was safe. Money was a transaction she understood. Money couldn't reject her, except it just had. You're right, she said quietly, sinking down to sit in the hallway back against the wall. I'm sorry. Daniel stared at her for a moment, his anger deflating slightly. Then he sat down beside her, leaving careful space between them. Look, I get that you mean well. No, you're completely right. Claire looked at him, allowing herself to be vulnerable in a way she hadn't been in years. I don't know how to do this. Be a person without transactions, without using resources to get what I want. It's how I've operated for 10 years, solve every problem by throwing money at it. She took a shaky breath. My ex-wife used to buy Emma expensive gifts to make up for not being there. Emma learned that gifts meant absence, that presents were apologies for broken promises. I won't let that pattern repeat. The detail stopped Claire cold. Of course this would trigger him. I didn't know, she said, but I should have thought. What do you want? Claire. Daniel interrupted. Honestly, why are you here? I want to see you again, both of you. Not because you need anything from me, but because you make me feel like a real person, instead of just a title and a bank account. She looked at him, letting him see the loneliness she usually hid. I want to learn how to be the kind of person who belongs in your living room. But I don't know how. I've forgotten how to just be human. Daniel's expression softened, the anger melting into something more complicated. You don't need to buy your way in. You're already here. Then what do I do? Just show up. That's all Emma wants. Someone who shows up. Someone who doesn't leave when things get complicated or boring or hard. I can do that. Can you? Because Emma gets attached fast. And if you're going to disappear when work gets busy again, I won't. Even as she said it, a small voice in her head whispered, Are you sure? Can you really promise? That Daniel must have heard the doubt, because his eyes searched hers, looking for certainty she wasn't sure she possessed. I'm not saying it'll be easy, Claire admitted, but I want to try. I want to prove I can choose differently this time. Okay. He stood, offered his hand to help her up. Then come have dinner with us tonight. No gifts. Just you. Just me. Just you is enough. Those 4 words felt like absolution. They ate spaghetti that night, Emma helping make the sauce, more of it on her shirt than in the pot. Claire learned that Emma was terrified of the dark, that Daniel had been saving for a year to take her to the zoo, that Emma's favorite color was purple because it's fancy, but also fun. After Emma went to bed, Daniel and Claire sat on the couch with tea, a comfortable silence settling between them. Can I ask you something? Daniel said. Sure. What made you turn off your phone on Christmas? That seemed significant. Claire was quiet for a long moment, choosing her words carefully. I was sitting there looking at Emma count her Uno cards, completely absorbed in the game, and I realized I hadn't felt that present in years. Every moment of my life I'm thinking about the next meeting, the next deal, the next crisis. She looked at him. But with you two I was just there, in the moment, and it felt like coming up for air after drowning for a decade. Is that why you came back? To feel that again? I came back because for the first time in 14 years, I wasn't alone on Christmas, and I'm not ready to go back to being alone yet. Daniel shifted closer, their shoulders touching. You know what scares me, he said quietly. What, that you'll wake up one day and realize we're not worth what you gave up. That you'll resent us for making you choose between us and the life you built. I could never. You say that now. But Claire, I can't compete with your company. With millions of dollars and board meetings and the success you've spent 10 years building. You're not competing. You've already won. She kissed him, then surprising them both. It was soft and tentative, and tasted like hope. When they broke apart, Daniel rested his forehead against hers. I'm terrified of this, he admitted. Me too. But I want it anyway. Me too. They held each other as the night deepened outside both of them, knowing they were standing on the edge of something that could either save them or destroy them completely. 2 months after Christmas, Claire had fallen into a routine that felt both foreign and natural. Dinner at Daniel's apartment 3 times a week, sometimes 4. She'd bring ingredients and they'd cook together, while Emma did homework at the table, her tongue poking out in concentration. It was domestic and simple, and nothing like Claire's usual life of expensive restaurants and business dinners. It was the best part of her week. In February, Emma had her Valentine's Day school performance. Claire had promised to attend. The day of a board meeting ran late. Rick droned on about quarterly projections while Claire watched the clock, anxiety building in her chest like pressure before a storm. 4:30 p.m. Performance started at 5. We need to discuss the merger proposal, Rick said, pulling up another slide. Can it wait? Claire asked, already gathering her things. It's time sensitive. It can wait. She grabbed her coat and ran, leaving Rick sputtering behind her. Arrived at the school at 5:05, still in her work clothes, pencil skirt, and blazer that screamed corporate executive in a gym full of parents in jeans. The auditorium was packed. Claire scanned the crowd, finally spotting Daniel in the 3rd row. She slid into the seat beside him, breathless. You made it, he said, relief evident in his voice. I said I would. She squeezed his hand. Nothing was more important than this. The lights dimmed. Children filed onto stage in Valentine costumes, construction paper hearts, glitter everywhere, proud parents already recording on their phones. Emma, in a paper heart dress that was crooked and perfect, spotted Claire immediately. Her entire face lit up like sunrise. She waved so enthusiastically she almost knocked over the girl beside her. Claire waved back, throat tight with emotion she didn't know she was capable of feeling. Emma sang slightly off-key but with complete enthusiasm. She forgot half the hand motions but made up her own. She was perfect. After the performance, Emma ran to them through the crowd of parents, launching herself at Claire with the full force of childhood joy. Did you see me? Did you see? You were amazing, sweetheart, Daniel said, scooping her up. Miss Claire, you came. I was worried you wouldn't. Emma's arms tightened around Claire's neck. I promised, didn't I? Yeah, but Emma's voice got quieter. Mommy used to promise too, and then she'd never come. The words hung in the air, heavy with old hurt. Claire knelt down to Emma's level, looking directly into her eyes. Emma, when I make a promise to you, I mean it. I will always do everything I can to keep my promises to you. Always. Promise, promise. Emma threw her arms around Claire's neck. I love you, Miss Claire. Claire's eyes burned. I love you too, Emma. After that moment, something shifted. The 3 of them went for ice cream, Emma chattering non-stop about the performance, and Claire realized she'd crossed some invisible line. This wasn't just companionship anymore. This wasn't just filling lonely hours. This was family, and that terrified her more than any boardroom ever had. That night, after Emma was asleep, Daniel seemed nervous. Claire noticed the way he kept running his hand through his hair, the way he wouldn't quite meet her eyes. "Can I ask you something?" he said finally. "Sure. Would you want to, if you're interested, go out sometime, just the two of us?" Claire's heart jumped. "Like a date?" "Yeah, like a date. Unless that's weird because of Emma." "I'd love to." Yeah. She smiled. "I should warn you, though. I'm really bad at dating." "Me too. We'll be terrible at it together." They planned it for the following weekend. Mrs. Chen, the elderly neighbor from 4D, who sometimes watched Emma, agreed to babysit with the knowing smile of someone who'd seen this coming from miles away. Claire spent an embarrassing amount of time picking out an outfit. Not too formal, she didn't want to look like she was going to a business meeting. Not too casual, she wanted him to know she cared. She settled on dark jeans and a cashmere sweater. No designer labels visible, just soft and warm and real. Daniel picked her up. She'd moved to a smaller apartment, couldn't stomach the penthouse anymore, and took her to a small Italian restaurant in his neighborhood. Not fancy, but warm, authentic. The kind of place where regulars were greeted by name and the owner remembered your usual order. They slid into a corner booth. Candles flickered on the table. Italian music played softly from hidden speakers. "Wine?" the waiter asked. "Please," Red Claire said. Same. They both reached for the breadbasket at the same time. Hands collided. They pulled back, laughing nervously. "This is awkward, right?" Daniel said. "So awkward. Why, we've had dinner together dozens of times. Emma's always there. She's our buffer. Should we have brought her?" They both laughed, tension easing like a drawn breath finally released. The conversation flowed more naturally after that. Daniel talked about his dreams of architecture, how he still sketched buildings in notebooks late at night, elaborate designs he'd probably never build, but couldn't stop imagining. Claire talked about vision tech, how she'd built it from nothing after her parents died, how work had been her shield against grief for so long, she'd forgotten there was anything underneath. "I spent a year thinking I did something wrong," Daniel said, talking about his ex-wife. "That if I'd been different, better, more exciting, she would have stayed. It wasn't your fault. I know that now. But Emma sometimes asks why her mom didn't want her. And I don't have a good answer except that sometimes people are too broken to see what they have until it's gone." Claire reached across the table and took his hand. "Emma is wanted. So wanted. By you, by everyone who meets her. Your ex-wife is the one who lost out, and she'll spend the rest of her life knowing it." His thumb brushed across her knuckles, sending electricity up her arm. "Thank you for saying that. I mean it." They talked about everything: dreams, fears, regrets, the messy, complicated reality of being adults who'd been broken by life and were trying to piece themselves back together. After dinner, Daniel walked Claire to her car. Snow was falling softly, making the streetlights blur and sparkle like stars brought down to earth. They stopped at her Mercedes. Awkward pause. "I had a really good time tonight," Claire said. "Me too. Can we do this again?" "I'd like that." Moment of hesitation. Daniel stepped closer, close enough that Claire could see the flecks of gold in his hazel eyes. "Can I kiss you? Please?" He cupped her face gently. Their lips met, soft and tentative and sweet. Claire's first kiss in 3 years. They pulled apart, both smiling like teenagers who'd just discovered something wonderful. "Wow," she breathed. "Yeah." They kissed again, deeper this time, Daniel's hands in her hair, Claire's arms around his neck, the world narrowing to just this moment, just this connection, just this feeling of finally coming home. When they finally broke apart, Claire realized she was crying. "Are you okay?" Daniel looked alarmed. "I'm happy." She wiped her eyes, laughing through the tears. "I'd forgotten what that feels like." He brushed away her tears with his thumb, so gentle it made her want to cry harder. "Get used to it. I plan on making you happy as much as possible." Claire drove home with her heart singing, hands shaking slightly on the steering wheel. For the first time since her parents died, she felt like she might actually get to keep something good. And that possibility was the most terrifying, wonderful thing she'd ever experienced. Spring arrived with crisis. Vision Tech faced a hostile takeover attempt. A Silicon Valley giant saw their technology and wanted to absorb them, strip the company for parts and patents. The board was split. Half wanted to sell and take the massive payout. Half wanted to fight and maintain independence. Claire had to be present, full-time, all hours, no exceptions, meetings until midnight, emergency calls at 3 a.m., strategy sessions that ate entire weekends. Her phone became an extension of her hand again, always buzzing, always demanding, always pulling her away. She started missing dinners with Daniel and Emma. First one, she texted an apology, promised to make it up to them. Then 3 in a row. Her text became shorter, more apologetic, less specific about when she'd be free again. Then a full week of absence, just texts and promises, and the growing realization that she was slipping back into old patterns. Emma drew a picture at school, 3 stick figures holding hands. But the figure representing Claire was transparent, barely visible, like she was already fading away. Daniel sent Claire a photo without commentary. The image said everything. Claire stared at it in her office at 11 p.m., exhaustion and guilt warring in her chest. She texted back, "I'm not disappearing. Just busy. This will pass." Daniel's response came after a long pause. "I know, but Emma doesn't understand the difference between busy and gone. I'll make it up to her. When soon? I promise." Another long pause, then, "Okay." That single word carried the weight of every disappointment, every broken promise, every woman who'd chosen something else over them. Friday night. Claire had promised to take them to dinner, a celebration for Emma's good report card, somewhere nice where Emma could wear her fancy dress. Claire was in a board meeting that wouldn't end. She checked her phone at 6:30, anxiety spiking when she saw the time. 15 more minutes, so sorry. 7. 30 minutes, max. I promise. 7:30. Meeting running long. Can we reschedule? I'm so sorry. At the restaurant. Emma sat in her fancy dress, the one Daniel had bought special, stretching their budget, because his daughter deserved something that made her feel beautiful. She kept scanning the door, hope dimming a little more with each passing minute. "Is Miss Claire here yet?" she asked for the 10th time. Daniel's heart broke, watching his daughter's hope fade, like a candle slowly guttering out. Finally, he texted back, "Sure? No problem." They went for ice cream instead. Emma quiet in a way that scared Daniel more than any tantrum would have. "Daddy does. Miss Claire not like us anymore. Of course she likes us, Em." "Then why doesn't she come?" "She has important work. Work is always more important than me." Emma said it matter-of-factly, like she was stating a law of nature. "That's why Mommy left too." Daniel couldn't finish the lie forming in his throat. That night, Claire showed up at his apartment at 11 p.m., still in her business suit, exhausted, makeup smudged, desperate to fix what she could feel breaking. Daniel answered the door, Emma asleep in the bedroom. "I'm so sorry." "Don't." "The meeting ran late and I couldn't." "Claire." He stepped into the hallway, closing the door behind him. "Do you know what Emma said tonight?" He repeated the conversation, watching Claire's face crumple with each word. "I never wanted. I know, but impact matters more than intention. You're not the first person to promise Emma they'll show up and then choose something else instead. That's not fair. What's not fair is watching my daughter learn over and over that she's not worth staying for, that everyone eventually picks something else. I'm not your ex-wife. Then prove it." He said it without anger, just bone-deep weariness. "Because right now I'm watching the exact same pattern, and I can't let Emma go through that again. What do you want me to do?" "I want you to figure out what you really want. Because Emma can't keep getting her heart broken every time you choose work over us." The words hung between them like a challenge, like an ultimatum, like the truth they'd both been avoiding. Claire drove home crying so hard she had to pull over twice, her hands shaking on the steering wheel, her whole body trembling with the realization of what she was losing. She sat in her car in the parking garage for an hour, staring at nothing, her phone buzzing with more demands from work. Finally called Beth at midnight. "I'm losing them. What happened?" Claire explained everything, the words tumbling out between sobs. "So choose them," Beth said simply. "It's not that simple." "Why not? The company needs me. The board, the investors, the employees whose jobs depend on. We'll find another CEO. They always do. But Emma can't find another you." Silence. "What if I can't do both?" Claire whispered. "What if I have to choose, then choose Claire. But choose knowing what you're giving up. Because you can't have both while giving neither one what they actually need." April brought the crisis that couldn't be ignored. Rick burst into Claire's office early one morning, face flushed with excitement or panic, she couldn't tell which. "I have a solution. For the takeover. I'm listening. A merger with a Chinese tech firm. They're willing to invest $200 million. Complete financial security. The takeover threat disappears." Claire's stomach dropped. "What's the catch? You need to go to Shanghai. A week of negotiations. The partners specifically requested you. They won't sign without your direct involvement. When you'd leave Monday." "What's this week?" Claire asked, already knowing she'd hate the answer. Rick checked his calendar. April 15th through 22nd. Why Emma's dance recital was April 20th, the one Emma had been practicing for since January, the one where she was the lead playing Dorothy in their production of The Wizard of Oz, the one she talked about every single day, her face lighting up with pride and excitement, the one Claire had promised she'd be there for. No. Rick blinked. "What? Find another way?" "Claire, there is no other way. The Chinese partners specifically requested you. They've met with 3 other CEOs and rejected all of them. They want to work with you or no one. This is $200 million. This saves the company. Everyone's jobs. Everything we've built. I have a commitment. A commitment. Claire, this is our company's survival we're talking about. This is the difference between staying independent and being absorbed by a competitor who will gut us for parts. I promised. You're the CEO. Your first responsibility is to this company and the 300 people who depend on their paychecks." Claire stared at the proposal in Rick's hands. $200 million. Company survival. Versus one dance recital. When she framed it that way, the answer seemed obvious. But Emma's face kept appearing in her mind the way she'd demonstrated her dance routine in the living room, her earnest voice saying, "You're coming, right? Miss Claire, you promise." "Promised. I need to think about it. We need an answer by tomorrow morning." That night, Claire sat in Daniel's living room. Emma was at a sleepover with Sophie, giving them rare time alone to talk. She told him about Shanghai. Daniel's face went carefully blank. "You have to go." "What?" "It's $200 million. Company survival. That's you have to go." "But Emma's recital." "I know. I promised her. I know that too." They sat in silence, heavy and suffocating. "Tell me what to do," Claire said, hating how desperate she sounded. "I can't." Daniel's voice was soft but firm. "This has to be your choice, Claire, but I need you to understand something." He turned to face her, his eyes sad and honest. "If you go, Emma will learn that promises break when something more important comes along, that she'll always be second to work. She's 6 years old and she's already learned that lesson from her mother. I can't watch her learn it again from someone else she loves. It's not about her specifically. I know. But that's what she'll believe. That's what gets internalized. I'm not important enough to keep." "What would you do?" Claire asked desperately. Daniel looked at her with eyes that had already seen too much loss. "I gave up architecture for Emma, gave up my dreams, my education, everything I wanted for myself. Because she's more important than any dream, any amount of money, any opportunity that would mean breaking a promise to her. But that's your choice, and this is yours." After Claire left, Daniel sat alone in the dark, head in his hands. He loved her. God, he loved her. But he couldn't watch Emma's heart break again, couldn't watch his daughter learn that everyone eventually leaves, and he couldn't compete with a company worth millions. couldn't compete with a life Claire had spent a decade building. He'd known from the start this might end this way, known the risk of letting her in. But loving her anyway had still felt worth it until now. Claire drove to her apartment and sat in the dark, paralyzed by the decision. Call Rick in the morning. Say yes or say no. Go to Shanghai or stay home. Save the company or keep her promise. She thought about her parents, the choice they'd made to come home for Christmas instead of taking a work trip. The choice that had killed them. She thought about Emma's transparent figure in that drawing, already fading, already disappearing. She thought about 14 years of building walls, of choosing work over people, of being safe and successful and completely alone. At 3 a.m. she made her decision. She called Rick. Book my flight to Shanghai. Even as she said it, something inside her shattered completely. Shanghai was beautiful and hollow. The hotel was perfect. The negotiations went smoothly. And Claire was drowning. 3 a.m. wide awake with jet lag and guilt. She looked at photos on her phone, Emma and Daniel, Emma's drawings, videos of Emma practicing her dance routine in the living room, her face glowing with excitement. Her phone buzzed. Text from Emma. I hope your work trip is good. I'll miss you at my recital. But it's okay. I understand. No guilt trip, no anger. Just a 6-year-old trying to be mature about being abandoned. Claire cried in her perfect hotel room, surrounded by luxury that meant nothing. The negotiations went well. The Chinese partners liked her. The deal was coming together piece by piece. Rick was ecstatic. We're going to save the company. Claire felt hollow, like someone had scooped out everything inside her and left only the shell. Friday afternoon, final negotiation session. Claire checking her watch every 10 minutes, doing the math recital starting in 6 hours, no way to make it back in time. Then the Chinese partners dropped their bomb. We've decided to pursue other opportunities. Rick went pale. What? But we've been negotiating all week. Our board met last night. They've decided we're not ready for international expansion at this time. We apologize for the inconvenience. Just like that. Deal dead. Week wasted, all that sacrifice. Missing Emma's recital. Breaking her promise. Proving Daniel right about every fear he'd ever had. For nothing. Claire sat in her hotel room, staring at the ceiling, calculating time differences. Recital starting in 3 hours, no way to get back. Her phone rang. FaceTime from Beth. I'm at the recital, Beth said without preamble voice. Tight with something Claire couldn't identify. Thought you should see this. She turned the camera toward the stage. Emma in her white ballet outfit, hair in perfect curls, scanning the audience with desperate hope. Daniel sitting alone in the 4th row. Other families around him. Parents, grandparents, siblings, all there to support their children. Emma's face fell when she didn't spot Claire. The hope dying in her eyes was visible even through the phone screen. The recital began. Emma performed beautifully. Technically perfect, every movement practiced to precision. But her face was empty, mechanical. No joy, just a child going through motions because the person she'd wanted to perform for wasn't there. After she ran to Daniel, tears streaming. She didn't come. She promised, but she didn't come. The call ended. Claire sat in the most expensive hotel in Shanghai, success and designer luggage, surrounding her, sobbing until she couldn't breathe. This was it. This was her bottom. She'd chosen work over Emma, and the work had failed anyway, and now she'd lost everything that actually mattered. She grabbed her phone and called the airline. The emergency flight cost $8,000. She didn't care. Landed Saturday 6 p.m. Local time, went straight from the airport to Daniel's building, didn't even go home to change or drop off her luggage. 11 exhausted, jet-lagged, desperate. She sat outside apartment 3C with her bags. Waited. Midnight. Daniel came home from a late maintenance call, a burst pipe in 4A that had kept him working for hours. Found Claire in the hallway, still in her business suit. Mascara smudged luggage beside her like she'd arrived from another planet. Claire. What are you? I quit. What, I'm quitting my job? On Monday. Officially. I already called Rick from the airport. Already told him to start looking for my replacement? You can't just... I can. I did. Because you were right. I made my choice. And it's you. Both of you. Daniel stared at her. Claire, I'm not asking you to forgive me. Not yet. Emma's recital. God, I missed her recital. I saw Beth's video, and her voice broke. I know I can't fix that, can't take it back, but I'm asking for a chance to prove I can choose differently from now on. What about your company? I'll find a buyer, or promote someone. I don't care anymore, because it doesn't matter if I build the most successful company in the world, but lose you and Emma in the process. And I was losing you. I could feel it happening, and I kept choosing wrong anyway. You built that company from nothing. And I'll build something else. Something that doesn't require sacrificing every other part of my life. Something smaller. Something that lets me keep promises to 6-year-olds who deserve better than I've been giving. Daniel sat beside her in the hallway, his work clothes still dusty from fixing Pipe's exhaustion, evident in every line of his face. Emma's heart broken. I know. She thinks everyone leaves. Everyone chooses something else. I know. Can you prove to her you won't? Can you actually follow through this time? I'm going to spend every single day trying. And if it takes years for her to trust me again, then it takes years. But I'm not leaving. I'm not choosing work over you ever again. They sat in silence, the building settling around them with creaks and distant sounds of other people's lives. Okay, Daniel said finally. But you have to talk to her. Really talk to her. And Claire, if you break another promise to her, we're done. For real this time. I can't watch her go through that again. I understand. Come for breakfast tomorrow. 9 a.m. I'll be here. Claire spent the night in her car in the parking lot of Daniel's building. Couldn't go home. Couldn't leave. Just sat in the Mercedes with her luggage watching the sun rise over the city, practicing what she'd say to Emma. At 8:45 a.m. she knocked on Daniel's door. Emma opened it. Saw Claire. Froze her small body, going very still. Miss Claire, hi sweetheart, you came back. It wasn't quite a question, more like a statement of impossible things. I came back, and I need to talk to you about something important. Is that okay? Emma looked at her father. Daniel nodded, giving permission. They sat on the couch, Emma clutching Sparkles, the unicorn, Claire clutching her courage like a lifeline. I broke my promise, Claire said, meeting Emma's eyes. I missed your recital, and I'm so sorry. I know. Emma's voice was small, carefully neutral. It was wrong. There's no excuse that makes it okay. Daddy said you had to save your company. I chose to try to save my company instead of keeping my promise to you. And that was the wrong choice. Emma was quiet for a long moment, processing with the seriousness children bring to important truths. Daddy recorded it, my recital. Do you want to watch? I would love that more than anything. They watched the video on Daniel's phone, Emma's performance from every angle Daniel had managed to capture. Claire cried through the entire thing, seeing what she'd missed. Seeing Emma's beautiful, heartbroken performance. You were so beautiful, Emma. So perfect. I looked for you. Emma said it factually, without accusation, which somehow made it worse. I know, and I'm so sorry I wasn't there. Are you going to leave again? For work, no. Promise I'm choosing you. I quit my job. I'm not going back to that company. From now on, I'm choosing you every single time. Emma studied her face with 6-year-old seriousness, looking for the lie, looking for the catch. Okay, I forgive you. But you have to come to my birthday party in September, and next year's recital, and my school play in winter. Promise I'll be at all of them. Promise, promise. You said that before. The words hung heavy. I know, and I broke it. So I understand if you don't trust me right now, but I'm going to earn it back, however long it takes. Emma thought about this. Then she threw her arms around Claire's neck. I missed you. Even when I was mad, I missed you. I missed you too. They held each other while Daniel watched from the kitchen, hoping desperately that this time would be different. Monday morning, Claire walked into Vision Tech for what would be one of her last times as CEO. Rick was waiting, arms crossed. You're actually doing this. I am. The board will fight you. Let them. I'm resigning effective in 90 days. That gives you time to find a replacement, and for me to transition everything properly. But after that, I'm done. You're walking away from millions. I'm walking towards something worth more than money. She submitted her resignation in writing, recommended her COO as replacement, started the process of disentangling herself from the company she'd spent 10 years building. Beth caught her in the hallway afterward. You really did it. I really did. How does it feel? Terrifying. Liberating. Right. I'm proud of you. Thanks, Beth. For everything. For being the one person who never let me completely lose myself in work. What now? Now I go prove I meant what I said. The next 3 months were a study in consistency. Claire showed up. Every day, every promise, every small moment that Emma needed to see, to believe this was real. She negotiated her exit from Vision Tech, 90 days of transition, helping the new CEO settle in, ensuring the company she'd built wouldn't collapse without her. But she left work at 5 p.m. No exceptions. Turned off her phone at 6 p.m. No emergencies that couldn't wait until tomorrow. She made it to every one of Emma's school events. Soccer practice, piano lessons, playdates with Sophie. She moved to an even smaller apartment, nice but modest, the kind she could afford on consulting income instead of CEO salary. Emma helped her pack. You don't have as much stuff anymore, Emma observed. Don't need as much, just the things that matter. What matters you, your dad, this. Claire held up a drawing Emma had made of their family. This is what matters. She started consulting for non-profits using her tech expertise to help organizations that couldn't afford big firms. The work paid modestly, but meant something beyond profit margins, and slowly, day by day, Emma's trust grew back like a plant carefully watered. Small moments. Claire showing up for breakfast 3 mornings a week. Claire helping with homework every Monday and Wednesday. Claire being there when Emma came home from school ready to hear about her day. 6 weeks after Shanghai, Mrs. Chen stopped Claire in the hallway. You're still here. Still here. Thought you'd run back to your big job by now. I like this life better. Mrs. Chen studied her with sharp eyes that had seen everything. That girl talks about you constantly. She's special. She's been hurt enough. I know. I'm not going to hurt her again. Time will tell. Mrs. Chen started to walk away, then turned back. But for what it's worth, I hope I'm wrong about you this time. September arrived with Emma's 7th birthday. Claire had been planning for weeks, nothing extravagant, just perfect for Emma. A party at the park with games and a unicorn cake and all of Emma's friends from school. Birthday morning she arrived at 8 a.m. to help set up. Emma was still in her pajamas when she answered the door, eyes lighting up when she saw Claire. You're here. It's my birthday and you're already here. Of course I'm here. It's your birthday. They spent the morning decorating hanging streamers, blowing up balloons, setting up the craft station Emma had insisted on. Daniel made pancakes shaped like the number 7 while they worked. The party was perfect. Emma glowed with happiness, surrounded by friends and family. Her small chosen family that had grown to include Mrs. Chen and Beth, and a few other neighbors who'd become important to them. During cake, Emma made a wish and blew out her candles with determination. Later she whispered to Claire, I wished for you and Daddy to get married. Emma. But I didn't say it out loud, so it still counts. She grinned, gap-toothed and mischievous. That evening, after guests left and Emma was in bed, Daniel and Claire cleaned up together, working in comfortable silence. She told you what she wished for, Daniel asked. How did you know she told me to? Said she told you first, so if you told me the wish wouldn't count. She's already working the angles. They laughed, the sound soft in the twilight. Would that be the worst thing? Claire asked quietly. What, getting married? Us. Daniel stopped cleaning dish towel in his hands. No. It wouldn't be the worst thing. Then maybe we should. Are you? Not yet, but soon, when I'm sure I've earned back the trust I broke, when Emma knows beyond doubt that I'm staying. She already knows, Claire. She sees you every day. You're not the person who missed the recital anymore. But I still need to prove it to myself. Daniel pulled her close, pressing a kiss to her temple. Okay, but for the record, I'd say yes. Whenever you're ready. October brought one last test. 2 a.m. Claire's phone rang. Rick. Sorry for the hour. What's wrong? Johnson Technologies. They're back. $50 million merger. But they'll only sign if you come back to lead the combined company. Claire looked at Daniel sleeping beside her in her small apartment he'd been staying over more and more, both of them slowly building towards something permanent. When meeting tomorrow in LA, you'd be back by dinner. But Claire, this is huge. This is everything we worked for. This could set you up financially for life. Tomorrow was Emma's school play. She was playing Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, the role she'd worked so hard for, the one she'd been practicing lines for every evening. I can't. Can't or won't. Does it matter? The answer is no. Rick, it's $50 million. And tomorrow my daughter has her school play. She's the lead. I promised I'd be there. There's nothing you can offer me that's worth breaking that promise. Claire, this is your company. Was my company. I walked away. Find someone else. Promote internally. I don't care. But my answer is no. She hung up. Daniel was awake watching her. You just turned down $50 million. You heard that. Hard not to. It wasn't even a choice. Not anymore. You sure I've never been more sure of anything? He pulled her close. I love you. I love you too. The next day, Claire sat front row center at Emma's school play. Daniel beside her, both of them beaming with pride. Emma peeked from backstage, saw them both, and her face split into a grin that could light the whole world. The play was adorable, and chaotic kids forgetting lines, scenery falling over someone, singing completely off-key in the background. Emma was perfect, earnest, and dramatic, and completely committed to being Dorothy. Claire cried through the entire thing. After Emma ran to them, still in her costume. I saw you. You both came. We wouldn't miss it. Claire said, pulling her close. Not even for important work. Nothing is more important than this, than you. Emma hugged her fiercely. I know. The copper kettle. Emma looked up from the back seat, confused. Why are we going there? Because Claire said driving carefully through fresh snow, that's where everything started, 1 year ago today. The place where Daddy bought me hot chocolate with quarters, Emma remembered suddenly. And where I bought you both dinner, Claire added. And where we invited you home for Christmas. Daniel finished, reaching over to squeeze Claire's hand. They walked into the diner together, a family now, in every way that mattered. Donna looked up from behind the counter, her face split into a huge smile. Well, if it isn't my favorite Christmas miracle family, I was wondering if you'd come back. You remember us? Emma asked, delighted. Honey, I watched you 3 fall in love right at this counter. Of course I remember. You're kind of famous here. They slid into the same booth where they'd eaten a year ago, Emma bouncing with excitement. Ordered the same things, hot chocolate for Emma, coffee for the adults this time, adding a full meal because Daniel could actually afford it now. Emma drew on napkins while they waited, her artistic skills noticeably improved. Daddy, remember when we first met Miss Claire? I remember. I knew she was special right away. How did you know? Because she was sad like you used to be. And I knew we could make her happy. Claire's eyes filled with tears. She cried easily now, let herself feel things instead of burying them under work and walls. You did make me happy, she said. You both did. You gave me back my life. We didn't give you anything, Daniel said gently. You chose it, because you showed me it was worth choosing. Donna brought their food, smiling at them like a proud grandmother. After they ate, Claire excused herself to use the restroom, but she didn't go to the bathroom. She went to Donna. Can you help me with something? When she returned 5 minutes later, she was holding a small box. Emma's eyes went huge, bouncing in her seat. Claire slid out of the booth, knelt beside Daniel's seat, her heart hammering so hard she could hear it in her ears. The entire diner went quiet, other patrons recognizing what was happening. Daniel Hayes. His eyes filled with tears before she even opened the box. A year ago, I walked into this diner convinced I'd chosen success over happiness. That loneliness was the price of ambition, that I'd trade anything for safety, even joy. She opened the box, a simple ring, elegant but not flashy. Then I met you and Emma, and you showed me what I'd been missing. What actually matters. You taught me that family isn't about blood or obligation. It's about showing up. About choosing each other every single day, even when it's hard. Daniel was crying openly now, not bothering to wipe the tears away. So I'm asking here in front of Emma and Donna and everyone, will you marry me? Will you let me keep choosing you every single day for the rest of our lives? Daniel dropped to his knees beside her, both of them kneeling on the worn diner floor. Yes. God, yes. 1,000 times, yes. They kissed while the diner erupted in applause. Emma launched herself at them both, wrapping her arms around their necks. We're getting married. My wish came true. Outside the windows, snow began to fall, just like it had 1 year ago, transforming the city into something magical. They got married in the park where Emma had performed her school play, the place where Claire had proven she could choose differently. Small ceremony, just the people who mattered. Beth as Claire's maid of honor, Mrs. Chen in the front row with tissues already ready, Emma as flower girl taking her job with utmost seriousness. The venue was simple folding chairs, an arch decorated with wildflowers, a violinist playing softly. Emma walked down the aisle first, scattering rose petals with great concentration. She carried Sparkles the unicorn, insisting he needed to witness this too. Then Donna from the copper kettle, walking beside Claire, standing in for the parents Claire had lost so long ago. When Claire appeared, Daniel's breath caught. She wore a simple white dress, not the designer gown she'd once imagined for her theoretical wedding. Her blonde hair was loose flowers tucked into the waves. She was crying before she even reached the altar. Their vows included promises to Emma. Claire spoke through tears. I promise to show up. For school plays and dance recitals and Tuesday morning pancakes. For good days and hard days and boring days. I promise to choose this us every single day. I promise that work will never be more important than family again. Daniel's voice was thick with emotion. I promise to believe you when you choose us. To trust that we're worth staying for. To build a life where all our dreams fit together, not compete. Emma had her own vows, which she'd written herself and practiced with Sophie. I promise to always tell you when you're being too mushy, and to remind you that family is the best thing ever, and to let you kiss even though it's gross, because you love each other, and that's important. Everyone laughed through their tears. When the officiant pronounced them married, Emma cheered so loud the birds in nearby trees took flight. The reception was at the Copper Kettle. Donna had insisted, refusing to take no for an answer. She'd closed the diner for the afternoon, decorated it with white lights and flowers, set up tables for their 50 guests. This is where your story started, she'd said. Only right, it's where you celebrate the next chapter. They ate and danced and celebrated. Emma showed anyone who'd listen her new last name, practicing signing Emma Hayes over and over. Mrs. Chen gave a toast that made everyone cry. I didn't think Claire would last. Thought she'd run back to her fancy job first chance she got. But she proved me wrong. She chose them every single day, even when it was hard. Especially when it was hard. That's real love. Beth's toast. I've known Claire for 5 years, watched her build an empire and lose herself in the process. Then one Christmas, she met a single dad and his daughter, and remembered how to be human again. This family saved her, but she saved herself by being brave enough to change. When it was Claire's turn to speak, she pulled Emma up to stand with her, one arm around her daughter's shoulders. A year and a half ago, I was the loneliest person I knew. I had money and success, and a life that looked perfect on paper. And I was dying inside one expensive champagne bottle at a time. She looked at Daniel and Emma. Then I met these two. And they taught me that the things that matter can't be bought. They taught me what it means to show up not just physically, but emotionally. They taught me that being vulnerable isn't weakness. It's the bravest thing you can do. She knelt down to Emma's level. Thank you for giving me Sparkles. Thank you for teaching me what unconditional love looks like. Thank you for giving me second chances even when I didn't deserve them. Emma threw her arms around Claire's neck. You're the best bonus mom ever. Bonus mom? Claire pulled back, smiling through tears. That's what Sophie's teacher said. Since you're not my birth mum, but you're my real mom now. Bonus mum. I like that a lot. That evening, as the sun set and string lights began to glow, Claire and Daniel stood together watching their daughter dance with Mrs. Chen to music from Donna's ancient radio. We did it, Daniel said softly. Did what built something beautiful from broken pieces. We did, together. They kissed as the last light faded, beginning their married life, where their story had started surrounded by people who'd watched them fall apart and piece themselves back together. 2 years later, another Christmas Eve. Claire stood at the window of their small house. They'd moved out of the apartment into a modest 3-bedroom, enough room for all of them to have space, while still feeling close. Outside, snow was falling the way it had that first Christmas Eve 3 years ago. Emma was 9 now, in the kitchen with Daniel making Christmas cookies, their voices mixing with holiday music from the radio. Claire held Sparkles the unicorn, the toy Emma had given her that first morning. The stitching was coming loose. The horn was bent. He'd been loved nearly to death. She'd never get rid of him. This silly stuffed toy represented everything that mattered the moment a child decided she was worth saving. Miss Claire, she turned. Emma still called her that, sometimes the name that had stuck from the beginning. I need help. Daddy's burning the cookies again. I am not burning them. They're caramelized. That's just a fancy word for burned. Claire laughed, walking into the kitchen to find Daniel waving a dish towel at the smoke detector while Emma dissolved into giggles. This chaos and laughter and imperfect cookies, this was everything. Later that evening, after Emma was in bed, Claire and Daniel sat on their couch with tea and the Christmas tree lights blinking gently. Do you miss it? Daniel asked. Your old life? Claire thought about the penthouse, the board meetings, the quarterly reports that had once consumed her entire existence. Not even a little bit. Really. I have everything I need right here. You, Emma, this messy, beautiful life we've built, that's worth more than all the success in the world. Daniel pulled her close, pressing a kiss to her temple. I love you. I love you too. Through the wall they could hear Emma talking in her sleep. Something about unicorns and Christmas magic, and her family being the best in the whole world. She's right, you know, Claire whispered. About what Christmas having special magic. The magic of second chances. Of broken people finding each other exactly when they need to. Of learning that the best things in life can't be bought, they have to be chosen. Every single day, Daniel agreed. Every single day. They sat in comfortable silence, watching snow fall outside their window, knowing that 3 years ago they'd been lost and lonely, and convinced they'd spend Christmas alone forever. And now they were home. Because sometimes the family you need finds you at a diner counter on Christmas Eve. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let a stranger in. Sometimes breaking means you get to rebuild yourself into something stronger. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, you get a second chance at happiness, and this time you choose it. Every single day. For the rest of your life. Friends, if this story touched your heart the way it touched mine, I want you to do something for me right now. Hit that subscribe button and join our channel family. We're building a community of people who believe in second chances, in the power of showing up, in choosing love over fear. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it today. Maybe they're sitting alone tonight wondering if they matter. Maybe they're drowning in work and forgetting what really counts. Maybe they just need a reminder that it's never too late to change, to choose differently, to open your heart again. Drop a comment below telling me, what would you choose? Success or family? The corner office or the kitchen table? We all face these choices. This story reminds us what really matters. And if you believe in the magic of Christmas, the power of kindness, and the beauty of imperfect families built on choice rather than blood, give this video a like. Let's spread this message that you're never truly alone when you're brave enough to let people in. Because somewhere out there, someone is counting quarters at a diner counter hoping for a miracle. Someone is sitting in an empty penthouse, wondering if success is worth the loneliness. Someone needs to hear that they deserve love, that they deserve to be chosen, that they deserve a second chance. Be the person who shows up. Be the Claire who stops running. Be the Daniel who opens the door. Be the Emma who sees people and loves them anyway. Thank you for being part of this community. Thank you for believing that stories can change hearts. Thank you for choosing connection over isolation. Until next time, remember, the best Christmas gifts aren't wrapped in paper. They're wrapped in courage, in vulnerability, in the decision to let someone into your life who might just save you. Merry Christmas. You matter. You're seen. You're not alone.